Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming, where we combine mediocre gameplay with expert science. I'm Ken Hansen, Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Florida State University. I'm a photochemist slash photophysicist. I shine light on molecules and materials. I move electrons around, move energy around, and hopefully do so in a productive way where we can do things like solar energy conversion, making and breaking bonds, turning light into mechanical energy. But more importantly, joining me today is Dr. Chris Schoborg. Chris, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
I'm Chris Schoborg. My PhD's in big data analytics. I currently work for the Office of Provost doing data analytics in regards to university rankings at FSU. I also do my own research on sports analytics, usually NFL based and college football based, but a little bit of dabble into baseball and basketball analytics as well.
Nice. And you teach regularly at FSU, is that right?
No, I do not teach at FSU.
Not anymore. Okay.
So I used to teach when I was in my PhD program.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Equally important. What game are we starting with?
College football 2025. The bring back of a long ago game. It discontinued in 2013 because of people wanted to have paid for their name, image, and likeness, and now that we can do that, they brought it back.
So NIL enabled this.
Yes.
That is interesting.
And every person that is named they use gets $600 from EA Sports and a copy of the game.
Wow. But they don't have to pay more for certain names?
Nope.
It's just standard. Okay, so EA did a deal with an NCAA, and NCAA approved that.
Yep.
So Players Union was presumably involved in that discussion?
There isn't a players union. That's why NIL is going. We can get into that.
All right. So before you pick a team, what's your team strategy? You're at FSU now, but you have favorites. You have your undergrad, grad.
So undergrad was FSU. So since I'm at FSU and undergrad was at FSU, I pick FSU.
All right. Which might not be the best choice.
Well, the good thing is they don't look at the current year and decide that.
That's fair.
So. We'll just go ahead and do a play now.
Well, look at that.
Let's
so polished.
Let's do the big rival.
Oh, wow.
And
jumping in hard.
Let's see. There we
do you get to design players in this game?
You can. You can create your own players. The fascinating thing is the roster updates. And I forgot to check the difficulty, so I might get demolished and I might not. The roster updates that they do is kind of amazing.
Oh, this is like real time.
Yeah, so at one point in the season, they actually benched DJ, even though FSU was still starting him.
Wow.
EA Sports had a roster update that had him on the bench. It's like, if that's not telling you that, what some people think, although I think he's starting back in this. I think these are the default first rosters, but
that's awesome. Shimon, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Well, Yazzers, thank you for always joining us. It is a pleasure. Hope you're a fan of college football because we're diving right into it. So have you been to a recent FSU football game?
I have not been since they started their renovations. I think 2022 was the last time I went. Until I started my UCF PhD program, we actually had season tickets.
Oh, nice.
So my wife and I would go to most of the games, and so see, they don't have DJ starting. So this is the updated rosters.
So this might be sacrilege, but I hate the chop they do every 2 downs. It's too frequent. Am I wrong?
So I have a love-hate relationship with the chop. Like, obviously, my undergrad's from FSU.
Yeah.
And I have, but it is, sort of overplayed and sort of, not to use a bad word, but culturally inappropriate.
But I mean, the Seminoles approved it, right? That's in the discussion every.
But the Seminole tribe never actually tomahawked anybody. So calling it the tomahawk chop and Seminole tribe is like.
No, that's fair. They can't approve something they never owned.
Yeah, like So yeah, like like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's easier for me to hate the Chiefs doing it because the Chiefs are not my football team.
And I used to play so I basically jumped from like Super Nintendo and Sega up to the Xbox, but I never did sports after the Super Nintendo and Sega. So mine was like the original Madden. So looking at this now is just like breathtaking. Like, it's just every motion is animated. It's like really clean play. Oh, that's interesting. You can real-time select to be aggressive on the reception.
Yeah, and you can choose to like try and do a catch and run, or if you're near the sideline, you can do what's called a boundary where they try to toe tap.
Oh, wow. So what's your collection of moves? So you do, or not moves, but plays. So if you play Tecmo Bowl, you had 6. What's the collection?
So they actually have loaded playbooks that they believe are, they believe are actually related to the team.
Oh, wow.
And so each team has its own unique playbook. And I think most playbooks have around 200 different plays on offense and like 100 on defense. So
might make our heads a little smaller. So
I don't have like a quote unquote go-to like I did in Tecmo. I kind of use, they have this thing called Coach's Suggestions, with the exception of this. This is why I did my research on going for it on fourth down, because ever since playing Madden, I never punt. So I always go for it on fourth down. So
always
in video game, yes.
Do it. It's worth the risk.
In my analytics I did for my dissertation about going for it on fourth down, no.
Yeah, but in video games, it's far less risk. All right, you had some time to settle in, but also you play this regularly, so I don't feel bad about hounding you. But the question we open up with every single guest is like, we all have these convoluted winding paths that bring us to where we are today. So, I mean, for you, there were many forks in the road, and you chose one path over another, and there were certain events that led you into this world of data analytics and sports analytics, and ultimately into your job doing university analytics at FSU. So, starting with, I don't know, really young Chris. What's your winding road? What's your path?
So really young Chris wanted to be an astronaut.
Naturally.
And then I learned sometime in junior high that NASA didn't accept astronauts above 6 foot tall, and at that time I was already 5'11", so I knew I was going to be over 6 foot. So gave up on astronaut. Started really getting into computers and was always good at math. So right out of high school, tried going to college for computer engineering.
Before we dive deeper,
yes,
you didn't go for it on fourth.
I kick a field goal. Yeah.
Okay.
I will kick a field goal. I won't punt.
I see.
Sorry.
I see. You won't punt, but you will field goal. Okay.
Yeah, I will not punt.
Within a probability range, it's worth the field goal. Okay.
4th and 40, I will still not punt.
Okay. That's fair.
So hopefully I don't have a 4th and 40.
If it's field goal range.
Yeah.
Which is anything within the 50. It's pretty substantial.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so correct statement is I never punt in video game.
I respect that.
Video game football, I never punt. Oh, that cost me. So I didn't succeed my first go at college. I wasn't ready for college, and joined the Navy because I decided I was done with school and being in school. So I joined the Navy, and they put me in a new program where I was, the first 2 years I was in the Navy, I was in school. So
wait, does it shake the screen when the volume is loud?
Yes, so that's the home crowd effect. So if there was an actual person playing,
Yeah. Wow.
they have problems seeing the play.
Yeah, so you guys are not stroking out right now. It is actually shaking on the screen.
But and then after the Navy, I was able most of the time to find jobs with my Navy skills until we moved to Tallahassee. We moved to Tallahassee because my wife got hired as a professor of social work and couldn't find a job. And so she suggested I go back to school. And she suggested statistics. And I'm like, I don't know anything about statistics. So took a class at TCC for intro to stats, and I was like, oh, this is about computers and math, two things I really like and I'm good at. So I decided to get my undergrad in statistics, and during that time I saw all my wife's colleagues all had PhDs, and therefore everybody I knew in Tallahassee had PhDs, and they had a kind of nice life. And I was like, my wife and I talked, and it's like, yeah, get a PhD. And I talked to, he was the dean at the time, but Jim Clark, who's now the provost, about getting a PhD. And he's like, well, if you want to stay at Florida State, go somewhere else. And I learned that UCF had a PhD in big data analytics, which interested me. And so I went to UCF with the hope of coming back to Florida State. And finished in May of 2024. I graduated my PhD and back at Florida State.
Wait, so their advocacy was they won't hire internally? They wanted you to get an external degree? And
yeah, and it's sort of normal. Like if it was basically about becoming a professor. Originally, that was, I was looking at becoming a tenure track faculty originally, and just the stats department didn't have an opening for me, and that's why I started working for the provost. But but yeah, like if you get your PhD from somewhere, and this is pretty much nationwide, you get your PhD from somewhere, that university won't hire you for 5 years.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. So your thesis, I think this is the title, Football by the Numbers, a look into sports analytics currently used in the National Football League.
Yes.
And so who did you work for? What was that? Were they a sports analytics expert, or you just chose a topic under?
Oh, so I actually lucked into sports analytics. I was nearing the end of my coursework, and there was a course being taught at the business school that I heard about. It was, I think the title was Sports and Academia, research, or academic research in sports while in academia. And I was like, one of the interesting things I always thought about stats is every time I'd bring up sports, most of the people in stats are like, oh, we don't like sports. We don't talk about sports. And
crazy.
Yes.
It's $1 billion stats industry.
Yeah. But so I was like, well, this guy will let me talk about sports and stats. And so he was talking to me, and he was like, look, there's a world for sports statistics, and like there's conferences about it. And one of the guest lecturers he had was somebody from our department, and who I didn't know, I hadn't taken a class from, but I introduced myself, and he's like, you like sports? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're in our department? He's like, yeah. He's like, do you want to do a sports PhD? And I'm like,
more than
yes. I didn't think that was possible. He's like, well, let's do one. And so he supported me, and so that was how I got into sports analytics. And so on my committee, I had 3 people who were born outside of the U.S. and did not understand football, and one person who had played Division III football and also been an assistant coach for college football teams, including USC in their championship year. So he understood football, but he was an outside source, so he was not a statistician. And so he didn't understand like the stats part. So I joked that I was the only person in the room that understood both parts of my dissertation.
I mean, I love that they like played and coached a bit. So they had so many dogmas coming in, and you're like, no, data doesn't agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how I got to sports, is like just having a guest lecture.
Yeah.
Before that, I was probably going into image recognition, although I wasn't excited about it. But when I heard that I could do sports stats, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so most popular sports statistics that happens related to the NFL is the fantasy football. So are you a fantasy footballer?
Yes.
And did it change before and after you did your PhD work?
So the fact that I played fantasy football is how my wife convinced me to look at statistics. She's like, all that stuff you do with Excel and fantasy football is actually entry-level statistics.
Yeah.
And did it change once I started learning more? Yes. And I've now been kicked out of more leagues. And I won the one league I was in this year. I won because like I have the advanced analytics tools and like.
Well, I suppose you have the actual software. Like you can
Yeah, I
go
have
above and beyond.
Yeah, like I get the actual data and do my own analysis from like the play-by-play data and all that stuff. So.
Well, what's your go-to data processing software packages?
So R is the
Standard.
one I use as far as like the software. I also can do Python, but R is like my go-to first. As far as probably as far as a single package, XGBoost was a huge part of my dissertation because it's advanced machine learning and able to deal with the the advanced big data that I was dealing with and large data sets that I was dealing with. But sometimes with fantasy football, it's just simple regression packages. And but so I don't really have like this is my go-to. I'm going to try and fit everything into this package. But,
tools when needed.
It's more of nowadays, because of my familiarity with it, if I am doing any sort of analytics, usually I first start with throwing it into XGBoost to see what it's going to tell me, but sometimes I don't even worry about XGBoost. It just depends on what I'm looking at.
Schmo Knight has an opinion. I think R is best for big old data.
Yeah. I mean, the difference is R was written by statisticians to do stats and Python was written by computer scientists to do stats. So I think more along the R mentality because I think like a statistician, because that's how I've been trained.
There's also a user friendliness component, right? Like R is not, you have to know some programming.
Yeah. Well, Python, you have to know programming too. They're both equally as powerful depending on how well you know them.
Yeah, that's such a barrier to access, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is.
Fantasy football, it works out in your favor. But for me, so I've started collaborating. Well, not started. For the last 7 years, I've done a collaboration with a friend who's a computer scientist and does stats for test analysis, right? Outcomes you do, in that case, it's win steps or R is what you use. I tried diving in, but the barriers is high, right? Like to figure out how to do what you're doing and know if it's real or not.
Well, the knowing if it's real, that's where a lot of people come into problems. Like figuring out what you're doing, I would tell my students that would ask about wanting to know R. I said, just figure out what you want to do and then Google, how do I do this in R? It's
Yeah, there's a YouTube video somewhere.
it is, what everybody does.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you learn. That's how, I mean, I never once took a single class where it's like, this is how you program in R. It was all just, I took classes on programming in SAS at FSU, but for my R, it's just been like reading different things and Googling, how do I do this? How do I do this? And you have to have an understanding of like programming and the code, and like the hardest part is when you have problems.
Yeah.
And debugging it.
Yeah, the programming front. I mean, but the data outcomes, like, it blows my mind that there's an underfit and an overfit, and there's in z-squared statistics and out, and like to know if something's real it's non-trivial.
Yeah. That's where the degree with statistics and data analysis comes into handy.
Yeah.
Knowing, oh, really?
Oh.
I was pitching a shutout.
Do a rage. So Aaron Vanucci was playing, I think it was Madden 07. He was the first one to rage quit on stream. He was like driving down, end of the game, interception. He just walked out the door. He came back eventually, but he gets his own emote now because he rage quit. So cheers, Aaron. Madden 07. What was that, PlayStation 1 probably?
Possibly. I mean,
maybe that was 2.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Might have been 2. It's right in the.
So you said, do you like play full seasons on this typically, or what's your gaming strategy? Okay.
So I usually play full seasons. I do the sometimes I do it's called the Path to Glory, where like you start out as a high school senior and try to get recruited, and then you work your way up where you start out, you're not even a starter, and you have to try and work your way up.
Wow.
To being a starter.
The walk-on Rudy route.
Yeah.
To live the game.
Well, you get a scholarship, and like depending on, so they'll have you play a couple quote unquote high school games, and then depending on you're given, well, this college wants you as a starter, this college wants you as a walk-on, this college wants you as a backup. So you have a
wow. You have a choice of your possible ceiling, how far you could go. That's interesting.
But yeah, so that's my. That's how I usually play. And then I have a friend that me and him used to play this together in real person. He created a online league with 4 of us that we just played like we used to back in real, but now we do it online. So.
That's fun. So you ever pick just a second or third tier team and try to take it all the way?
So yes. So usually what happens is after I get bored with a powerhouse, such as Florida State is probably now my go-to start. I used and still do. I'll choose, because of my background, I'll take Navy and get them into a 5-star national champion.
Yeah. Navy's not that bad though.
Yeah, but
I was thinking what was the upset? It was like Appalachian State or something beat Michigan. What was the?
Appalachian State has beaten Michigan, and they actually beat somebody else this year. I can't remember who they beat, but yeah. I don't know if Appalachian State is actually even Division I yet, but
because it was the 2007. Is that right? The Michigan one. Because I remember this because I learned after the fact that the subsequent year, their applications for college increased 70%, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just from one football game win.
Yeah, but like I said, I think I don't remember who it was. I don't follow college football as much, but App State had a big upset victory this year too.
Just anyone in chat? No.
I want to say it was South Carolina or Clemson.
2024 season.
Or maybe it wasn't.
Notable victory against South Alabama.
No. Maybe it wasn't Appalachian State, but
yeah, I love, like, I'm not, so I played football in high school and it damaged me pretty bad, so I don't, like, keep track of it anymore necessarily. I'm not super excited about it, but I do love watching the NCAA, like, football outcomes and seeing upsets happen. Like,
yeah.
I love seeing a ranked team get beat by unranked. Like, there's nothing more satisfying.
But yeah, so I'll choose, like, because, like, Navy is, they're okay, but, like,
yeah. Like, so do they match character traits on this? Is this, like...
Yeah, so these are supposedly based off real...
Wow.
Real player stats. Similar to, like, the Madden rating people.
Yeah, so this is like vertical
the same
40-yard dash, bench press, whatever it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it's... I just happen to know that actually for this year, based off how they actually did versus the default rosters, Florida is worse than they probably are. Their players are worse than they probably were in real life, and FSU's were overinflated. Because, like, beginning of the year, FSU was, like, in the top 5 for initial preseason rankings, and then FSU messed that up.
So can you set up, like, the college playoff and just let the automation go?
You can, yeah.
How accurate is that?
So a single reset, it's not 100% accurate, but there's people that online will do, they'll run like 1,000 simulations.
Holy crap.
And it happens a lot that the simulations get kind of pretty close to accurate.
That is amazing. If you ran the game 1,000 times.
I think I did it when I first got the game, so even before preseason, and I think they had the title game was Georgia and Notre Dame. Which, both of them made the college football playoffs, but we know that Ohio State actually won. But.
Yeah. All right, yeah, anyone just joining us, Ask Scientist Gaming Mediocre Gameplay Expert Science. Our guest today is Chris Schoborg. He's an expert in data analytics, big data processing, and do a little bit of machine learning as well. PhD studying football, in particular professional football, the NFL, as well as a little bit of college football, I guess. And then, now he does some data analytics for Florida State University, thinking about how we can influence our ranking and become a higher ranked institution, playing with the numbers, what dials do we turn to change our outcomes. Just using big data to make evidence-based decision-making, or at least evidence-informed decision-making, and hoping you do the right thing. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for Chris, he's happy to talk about it. Football, university rankings, whatever it may be, throw your questions in chat. We will answer those. But so, I mean, in terms of the sports analytics, the go-to is baseball more often than not, right? Because the data is much cleaner. Is that a good assessment?
It's easier to record.
I mean, there's so much data there, right?
Yeah.
Like everything they can record.
Yeah. It's... With baseball, it's the easiest to record, and like that's sort of where like sports analytics got its start, is dealing with baseball stats. And
but does more data equal better predictive capacity?
Sometimes not. Most of the time, yes. But sometimes, you can get inundated with so much data that it's like, oh, well, that's one of the big challenges of big data is if you use traditional methods on a large data set, everything's statistically relevant, and there's no such thing as an outlier.
Everything matters. Nothing's collinear.
But also, if you have a large enough data set,
Yeah.
everything is correlated.
Yeah.
So traditional methods of dealing with large data sets don't work. And that's where you get into needing to learn like the specific big data analytics tools that are built to handle larger data sets and look beyond traditional methods we all learned in our Stat 2023 class.
I like it. Wait, so for your PhD, were you were long distance relationship then? You were in Orlando?
Yes. So like I said, my wife has a PhD. So the best way to have a married PhD in two different schools is to have your wife understand what it takes.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no, you're going to live down there.
Yeah.
And
Every third weekend.
we did every other weekend, but she would do the driving as long as I was doing my coursework.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire time, she would do every other week, drive down on the weekend, because she's like, the extra 8 hours for your studies is going to help. And then as I got into just dissertation work, I would come up here and spend a week up here if I wasn't teaching. So,
I mean, that's not a terrible drive. That's what, 4 hours? 4 hours and change?
4 hours and change, depending on how bad the turnpike traffic is, and 75 traffic.
Qual Scholar. What an amazing wife to do all that driving.
She's biased.
No, Qual Scholar is anonymous. We don't know who that is.
Okay.
Shout out to Qual Scholar.
But yeah, so, she was very understanding and very supportive.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had an apartment down there and a house in Tallahassee.
Yeah. A two-body problem is non-trivial challenge, that's for sure.
Yeah. The biggest problem came when we moved out of Orlando and had to combine stuff, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden we have 2 can openers. We don't need 2 can openers. And like,
It's a statistics problem. I only need 1.
more dishes than we really need.
Oh man, the reacclimatization of full-time living together. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
But yeah.
You grow your independent. It's amazing though. Yeah, you do what you have to do. That is really wonderful. Thank you, Shimomite. We really appreciate it. And Qual Scholar, thank you as well, especially for letting Chris join me for a night of drinking and video games. Not everyone's okay with us old guys playing and drinking, but it brings you back,
Yeah, she gets used to my video gaming.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Man, my wife hated it for a while when I was in grad school and I was playing World of Warcraft. If you want to do like the big raids and stuff, it is it's a consistent, it's a team effort. You have scheduled appointments, second job.
Yeah, there's been days where it's like, can't you just turn that off?
I can't. I'm online. There's no pause. That's fun. But college football, this is your go-to?
Right now, my go-to game that I'm in a lot right now is Major League Baseball, the show, because that just came out. And so I'm in the process of that, which I never play online because I have tried playing online and I just am not good enough to play online.
Yeah.
I'll lose like 23-0 in a 3-inning game. It's like, and everybody's like, oh, you just need to do this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, I don't have time to do all that. So I'll just keep playing offline.
Yeah, I was hardcore into like Halo, the first person shooter game, Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and then it kind of trailed off because I just didn't keep up with the map updates, didn't know where everything was, didn't know the timing of respawns. It was just, it's hard. It's a part-time job to be really good at a video game.
Now it's a full-time job.
I don't know. For every game that's like this, you know, super complex and elegant, there's some like 8-bit looking whatever that people are going pro in. But
Yeah.
the technical skill is probably higher on that.
Yeah, I just saw the one of the shows I was watching gave a shout out to his first cousin who just coached a Rocket League state champion. He's like, I was never athletic, but and I never had that. I could have been.
Yeah.
He's like, but now looking back, I could have been an esports. as much video games as I played in high school, I could have been an esports state champion.
Yeah. Just missed our window.
Yeah. I was like, yep, me too. But
Speaking of which, have you looked at the FSU esports at all?
I have not.
So it's, got my honorary jersey up there for Ask a Scientist. But yeah, it's a Discord channels mainly where they communicate, but yeah, it's a really friendly community. They have a whole bunch of different game types. I really like it. I watch it as a third party because I'm not keeping up on anything, but like League of Legends.
My son's into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Rocket League and League of Legends and Rainbow Six.
I love watching Rocket League. Like the good players is just so satisfying.
Yeah. He beats me at all those games, and then we put in any of my sports games, and the pages turn.
So what's your all-time favorite sports game? What's your
So this is one of them. One of the franchises, NCAA football.
And that's because of gameplay, or you're just affinity for college football?
Gameplay. But Tiger Woods golf or EA Sports PGA Tour golf, it's no longer Tiger Woods golf, but has always held a strong place. Tecmo Super Bowl, which we'll get into later. There were many
Nice hit.
late weekends playing that before the save game existed. But I think NCAA football is franchise-wise is my all-time favorite. Single year, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2009, I think, is the first year that they actually put the Masters in there, Augusta National. So it's like, I'll never be good enough to play at Augusta in real life, but virtually I got to play at Augusta.
When I said Rocket League is huge in college, it's a fun game. I mean, you can play it if you're not skilled, but if you're really skilled, it's amazing. But anyway, back to games. NFL Blitz, any affinity? Did you ever play that one?
I played that a lot in the arcade.
The pseudo NBA Jam of football.
Yeah, NFL Blitz and NBA Jam a lot in the arcade. Super Mario Brothers, the original, in the arcade a lot.
Here's the deep cut. Did you ever play Mutant League Football with Sega? Have you heard of this game?
I have not heard of that.
The one I knew was Mutant League Hockey, and I played that when I was on stream, actually. But it's like you get to murder each other. There's chainsaws, but it's hockey. But there's a version of football of that, which we could bust out later. I can find it. I think I have it for Sega or Super Nintendo. But that one was...
Yeah, that one skipped my purview.
It skipped many people's purview. It was ahead of its time. They really need a re-release of this type of caliber Mutant League Football. It demanded. If you're hearing us, EA. Actually, EA just laid off a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, their sales aren't getting as popular. But they had a good run. There was I think it's 17, 18 years where Madden was one of the top 3 video games sold every single year. It's
I haven't kept up with it recently, but the critique I hear is it's just the same game slightly reskinned every year.
So there is some of that. It is, it's this fine balance of balancing paying $70 for a roster update versus what they added. new. And so there's a lot of critique of like, well, and if you go online and reviews as it's getting ready to come out, you'll see is this year's Madden worth the $70 roster update?
Yeah.
But
I mean, how does that work with esports? I haven't kept track of the esport world, but like, do they do a new game every year, or do they pick one and stick with it for several years?
I don't know fully. I mean, I think Rocket League's been playing. I don't know if it's the same game or not, because like I said, I don't. But like, I know like Rainbow Six, because that's the one my son plays a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's basically the same game. They just come up with new maps.
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
when you play online leagues, some maps become obsolete, and like you can no longer play on this map. You now have to play one of these 3 maps. And
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It takes several years to get collectively good at it, where it's like highly competitive and there are leaderboards and there are people that are good. And then you have Madden come out every year and you just,
yeah, but
turnover's too high, right?
if you don't change your system, the
Yeah.
controls are always the same.
Yeah.
Like, this game, even when it came back after 12 years of being off, the controls are the same as it was back in 2013, the last year they produced it before this.
Yeah.
It's just different players, and they add some things like what you can and can't do. Like when you were saying about the aggressive catch and
Yeah.
run into the catch and sideline catches, that wasn't in the game in 2013.
Yeah. But even those things, the subtleties of getting good at those, right?
Yeah.
Like, it takes a lot of time. Misadventures, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Hello, hello indeed. Celebrating the last week of classes at Florida State University. Actually, it's finals week this week.
Yes.
Which is a mess because, we had a shooting 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, basically abandon all exams, abandon the final week of class, and it has been interesting to say the least. But Misadventures, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Chris Schoborg. He's an expert in big data processing, particularly sports analytics, as well as university ranking analytics. So if there's anything you want to know, if you're a football fan, we are happy to talk about it. Yeah. I love that you get thrown out of fantasy football leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, but are there any insights you have that other people don't? Like, it's the same data sets. Somebody's posting all this crap online, right?
Yeah, it's I have knowledge of how to use the data. It's really, and like, sometimes I get lucky, but sometimes the data is there to support.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah. So is this? Did you win? Sorry, I had to.
Oh yeah,
track. It's over. What was the score?
34-10, I think. 35-10.
You're happy with it?
Yeah. We
All
can
right.
switch to something I'm not.
Or you could play as a really crappy team.
Okay, let's do that.
Someone name a terrible team that Chris should play as.
Well,
Let's take a look at what's available. Oh wow! Apple said too soon. What else? What are the conferences?
Sun Bell, SEC, Pac-12, Mountain West, MAC, Independence.
Qual Scholar said Washington University.
So that's.
I don't know what.
Yeah, but they don't have Division III. She's talking WashU and St. Louis.
Okay.
She's not talking Washington, Pac-12.
Yeah.
Well, they are. I don't know that there's a she.
To remain anonymous. Don't want anyone to identify and get attacked by the internet for unknown reasons.
76, Old Dominion. Let's see if we find something lower.
Anyone has suggestions? The worst. Wait. This is one Google search away. Or should we chat GPT a bit? This is EA, college football.
Well, here's pretty Akron, 74.
25 worst team. Oh man, Qual Scholar said Army. Is that
Army would be on here.
worst team?
They're 79, so
No,
they're
I
actually.
will not disable my.
She's
blocker.
just. 76. I
Um,
think we might have had a winner with Akron.
A Sports College Football. Worst football teams in the game. We have UMass Minutemen, UTEP Miners, Ball State Cardinals, and Louisiana Monroe Warhawks.
Okay, so let's go UL Monroe. That sounds...
But before finalizing, I want to see what ChatGPT says.
They're rated higher than Akron. Who are the other ones?
So Louisiana Monroe, Ball State, UTEP, and UMass.
Ball State, UMass.
Lowest. Wow, it actually gives the. That's kind of fun. This ChatGPT showing the image. Controlling for teams in dynasty mode. Wow.
I think Akron's the lowest I see, and they're rated 74 overall. So let's give them a go. I don't know who their rival is, so let's just do a random team. Iowa State. And let's go Boise State. That's it.
Man, I like it. All right, we're going to see how this goes, ladies and gentlemen. If you have questions for Chris, you can distract him while he struggles from the bottom up, playing as the worst team in college football, 25.
I have no idea how what their playbook is either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's if it's based on the real team, they can vary dramatically.
Yeah, like if you take Army or Air Force or Navy, you have a triple option team.
Jeez. I mean, so speaking of sports analytics, so you have, in baseball, you have the money ball that takes hold pretty early on. Basketball, more recently, we've seen the three-pointer take over, and that's sports analytics driven, if I'm not mistaken. They found that can win games. Has there been a major paradigm shift in football, a recent one, or do you anticipate there's a paradigm shift based on the data?
So the big thing is there's a lot of analytics, and like one of the recent things that came out was called the fourth down bot, which was like sort of like the chart of when to go for two, of when to go for on fourth down, depending on a couple things. And that's been popular, but gained popularity with teams and also with the announcers. Like, you can't turn on a football game these days and they're like, well, the analytics say to go for it on this situation.
So what's the input on that? You have score, time, yard line.
Yeah, so it's based off generic information of win probability and expected points. Whether you gain a first down with just enough yards to gain a first down, or if you can gain a first down with just enough yards to gain a first down, versus how many points expected, what your expected points on that, versus if you punt it and the expected position of your and expected points and probability of making a field goal. So it's several different factors that the couple factors that don't factor into it. This is where the small area of my dissertation improved on, is it didn't include any consideration of who the field goal kicker was.
Oh, wow.
Or weather, or in one case, altitude, because they've actually proven that a football travels 1.5 yards further in Mile High Stadium than any other stadium due to the thin air. So,
wow. I mean, air resistance matters. Physics.
Yeah. So, if you have a strong kicker in great conditions in Miami, Florida, is a little different of kicking a field goal versus if you're in a blizzard in Denver. you know.
Oh man, speaking of which, sorry to detour on this, but I watched a YouTube video recently. I don't know if how much you keep up with track and field, but when you do a world record in the sprints, there's a wind assist, right? And there's a
Yes.
certain threshold where you can't do that. Turns out that wind assist does not exist in the discus or shot put. And so the thought I'm assuming initially was it doesn't change the momentum, or it's a pretty massive object, so on and so forth. But it turns out there is a particular discus meet that happens in Oklahoma every year, and apparently 5 of the 10 furthest throws in human history have happened at this particular meet. The women's world record and the men's world record are at this meet, and it's because of the gust winds condition. It's Tornado Alley, essentially, and they're using it to make discus go farther.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that somewhere. I didn't.
Yeah.
I would have been hard pressed to tell you it was Oklahoma, but I did read that there's this special meet that happens every year. All the discus
Yeah.
records are being set at, and it's
What is it called? I think it's Oklahoma. It's in the
this is a,
Yeah, it's World Athletic Continental Tour bronze meeting in Ramona, Oklahoma.
interesting.
And it's like they've thrown meters farther than anyone in human history, and it's at this particular meet that it happens. So yes, wind resistance matters, airflow matters.
But they still haven't added wind aided to discus and shot put.
Yeah, it seems like a conversation that should occur. If there's only one place on the planet where you can break a record, I don't know. It's a bit surprising, right?
Yeah.
You'd think someone would do that, but maybe it exists in the shot put. Discus is the only thing I saw in a particular video. But yeah.
It is very interesting.
And so speaking of the software packages, a lot of this is just people generating a model, and then you have your input parameters, and you see what comes out of it. How much machine learning and AI are people applying to this? I mean, you have decades of data across thousands of teams. Does anything come of that that's useful?
So their teams are starting to get more into machine learning and data analytics, and starting to invest into data analytics, but it's football is really slow at adopting new things. Baseball has seemed to be all in on data analytics. So
Why do you think that is? Is that a mentality thing? Is that the data processing wasn't there yet?
So I think it's one, the tracking, and and two is you have these old school coaches who may or may not understand math and science and statistics, and they can tell you, well, I can tell you to not go for it on 4th and down, because it's stupid. But there's some coaches that are starting to embrace the analytics more, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And some of it is until recently, a lot of it was untrackable. It was only 2016 was when they started putting player trackers on players and being able to know where every player on the field was at any given time. Before then, it was like watching a bunch of film, and it was, you didn't have the data to easily put in.
That's interesting. So it tracks position, presumably it tracks velocity and position change. Wow, that's a lot of data. Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's one every quarter of a second. The difficulty is it's proprietary data and owned by a large corporation. And so if you're an independent researcher, you cannot actually get access to it.
Huh.
You have to work for that company or the NFL.
And so the NFL rents it from them? Or there's a deal? Or
it's a deal with the NFL and them. And the funny thing is, the first year they put trackers in to these players, they didn't think to track the football. So the first year data, you have where every 22 players were,
Yeah.
but you didn't know where the ball was.
This is weird swarming behavior. I don't understand.
And the first, until 2019, if you worked for a team, you could only see your team's data. So you only got 11 of the players. So that's part of it, is like the data exists. And there's been a lot of advanced data that's come out recently. Now that teams are getting, like I said, they're starting to get analytics teams.
Yeah.
And who have access to all this data and can look at it.
I mean, that's interesting. The NFL owns that, but they won't share it with the teams.
Well, the teams now have it fully.
Okay.
As of 2019, the teams get 100% of the data that's collected.
Okay.
I think is when it first happened, but it was a weird thing, and like, still to this day, like, I couldn't get access to the data to do my dissertation research.
Yeah. I mean, so the classic tale in baseball is the Oakland Athletics, right? The Moneyball movie was based on that. Is this a scenario where it's going to take one professional team to go all in and win for this to paradigm shift, or is it just going to be incremental?
It's just going to be incremental as you get more teams that are using it. Like, teams now have like whole data analytics staff, like 30 people staff of data analytics teams looking at their data, and then one of the things the NFL has started doing, they have a yearly competition called the Big Data Bowl, where they give you a chunk of the player tracking data, and they're like, we want to look at offensive linemen this year. Give us any stat you can on offensive linemen, and come up with a new and interesting stat and a new way of describing it. And each of those people who win these competitions get snatched up by some NFL team, and like they've started like figuring it out that, and so there's a known entity of who is and who isn't doing analytics, and how much they're involved in it. And there's some teams that are like old school and still looking at the player tapes, and there's others that are like 100% driven by analytics.
I mean, what's fun about that data set is you have a testable hypothesis, right? Because you could essentially give half a season data set and say, predict the outcome of the subsequent games. How good are your models? How much? I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
And we're getting to that threshold where we have that data, we can process that data.
But like, the big thing about Philadelphia, who won the Super Bowl this year, and their brotherly shove or tush push, whatever you want to call it, and going for it, they started doing that because they looked at the analytics, and they figured out that the probability of success doing this one play, which wasn't an illegal play, meant that they had a high probability of success and a low probability of failure, and the small probability of failure with it didn't create a huge change in expected points or win probability. And so they started using it more and more, and it helps that they have a quarterback who can run it very well and has strong leg muscles, but their design of using it came fully out of analytics.
I honestly thought that was illegal. I don't know if that's college where you can't push the player, or because you can't jump off another player, right?
Correct.
You can't block a field goal.
So the rule changed 6 years ago about pushing somebody from behind.
Why? They were like, we need more of this?
I don't know why they changed it. But I think a lot of it is because it's harder to justify, the defense is doing it. And, if a linebacker's coming in after a defensive lineman, is he pushing the defensive lineman or is he just trying to put his hands on the defensive lineman to find a way?
Yeah.
And so, like, you had offensive coaches complaining that, well, the defense is doing it. Why can't we do it on offense?
Yeah, the blurry lines.
And so, well, just make it legal for everybody.
Do you think they're going to make it illegal?
It's been up for a vote twice now, and both times it's been shot down by the committee.
I want somebody to build their team around the tush push. Just like 3 yards of play is all you need, right?
Yeah. 3 yards and a cloud of dust goes back to the 60s in Vince Lombardi. He used to say, I don't need to pass it as long as I can get 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Although, it's interesting, and they're going to try it out. I just saw that they're going to try it out this year. Tennis has the Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. They're going to use that to track the football and placement of the football for preseason this year.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean, they've already gotten rid of the chains, right?
Well,
or at least in some circumstances.
The chains are still there, and it's still a person putting it down. But it's like, if we already are tracking the football, why not use the information we have available to be like, oh, well, the football is actually right here. The first down marker was at this spot. I am not doing as well.
You are. Does it feel different?
Yes.
Is it like you're running through water?
Yes.
Like all the controls are just slightly slower. You can feel the worst players.
Yes.
Wow. That's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, early games they had like the rankings and the speed and all that, but it didn't matter that much. Right? You could take any team. But
yeah.
You're getting wrecked. What are we in? We're
second quarter.
Wow.
Yes.
You got a touchdown though. That counts for something. And I did force you to play.
No.
I like it. Man, so speaking of rule changes, so tush push, that changed a lot of things. Extra point, backing that up. I mean, that was a data-driven decision by the league.
Yes.
And it's your pro backed up extra point?
Yeah. That they changed it from the 2.5 to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
And that drastically changed the success.
Yeah.
And
so when did that rule change? That was a couple years ago?
2017 is when...
Okay.
No, 2017 they created the 2-point conversion, and then 2019 I think is when they moved the extra point back.
Okay.
It was all pre-COVID, so.
Wait, this was like halfway through your PhD. They're changing the rules on you?
No, I started my PhD in 2019. So.
Okay. But how much does that screw you over?
No, but actually, it did mess.
Kick return was recent too, right?
Yeah, and they keep messing with the kick return every year. But actually,
get it.
That was one of the things with my dissertation is like, I had 10 years of data, and like some of the stuff I had to break it down by 3 different categories because the expected points change when you add a 2-point conversion, and the expected points change when you move the extra point back.
Jeez. Shifting the goalpost on you. Literally shifting the goalpost on you. Oh, man. Just keep the rules constant. On floating variables. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, but...
That's awesome. What else about rule change? I haven't kept track too intently on. I mean, I like the kickoff rule change because honestly, kickoffs are just so dangerous. I used to be a wedge buster in high school, and that's just concussions, right?
Yeah.
Like, throw your body at the wedge and hope for the best.
Well, see, that's actually how they keep trying to get rid of the tush push, is because it's a dangerous play. But I think they said there's only been 1 injury to any person during a tush push play, so it's kind of hard to say it's a more dangerous play. when like nobody's getting injured on it.
I mean, most of the long-term, the CTE damage is the initial impact and not necessarily the subsequent interactions. That's a hard sell if you're asking me.
Yeah, but if you ask anybody who actually plays, they'll tell you that now they're aware of the dangers, and that's what the money's for. I'm sacrificing my body to the football gods for a lot of money, and I'll sell my quality of life in my 40s, 50s, and 60s to.
And I love that zoom up view. That's pretty amazing. When it shows the route. Yeah, that's so nice.
And there's a different button that you can push if you're playing against somebody where it's a fake art.
Screen watching.
So like if you're playing specifically, like if you're playing with somebody, like you can do this where it doesn't show any art.
Yeah.
Or you can do this which shows the art, but
that is amazing. So when you play against your son, is it on the same screen, or do you guys?
Yeah, we play on the same screen if we play. He is more of a PC gamer on his own. But
It's fun.
Well,
It's not bad though.
Each of these two offenses has looked like well-oiled machines.
only down by 10.
Where are you losing this game right now?
They've had a couple big plays.
Oh, that's it. It's not the completions.
Yeah. They've had some big plays. And I'm going back with my old don't punt, even though I probably should punt in this situation because I don't have the defensive players to stop them on a sustained drive. So,
Man, that's intriguing. All right. Before you start the next place, Misadventures in Astro joining us as usual as Redeem Take a Drink. So, Chris, cheers. Thank you for joining me. Ask Scientist Gaming. Tonight we're drinking some Sweetwater Brewing Company. Where are these guys located? It's in Florida, right?
Tampa, I believe.
Tampa. But yeah, the extra pale ale, the original. You guys can't see it because it's green screened. You can kind of see the text. But yeah. So cheers, Misadventure. Yeah, we're celebrating finals week at Florida State University. Also, my last faculty meeting of the year was today. And it was super long, but I'm glad it's over. And recruiting season is over, and we get to relax for a little bit this summer. So does life change for you at all at FSU during the summer? I mean, other than parking? Traffic?
I mean, my schedule doesn't change and my workload doesn't change.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually worked over a summer yet, so
This is the first one.
yeah, this will be my first summer after being hired, so we'll see. But
No, I can definitely see it in like daycare drop-off. The timing changes entirely during the summer.
But yeah, so I'm kind of excited to have better parking than
So which building are you in?
Westcott.
You're in Westcott, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, get it.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so the one thing I'm looking forward to is getting the graduation photos to stop. Every morning there's
Yeah. They're going for a
lines.
swim.
There's lines of people getting their picture taken on the stairs, by the fountain, under the
yeah.
gate, like.
Oh, man. Yeah, Friday graduation, Saturday graduation.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I get to bust out my most expensive outfit about once a year. My fancy hat and robe. It's going to be there, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we should do a prediction. We haven't done one yet. Which one do you want? What are you excited about?
let's do this one.
All right. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with Ask a Scientist Gaming, we have predictions on Twitch, and usually, oh, there we go, get some. Oh, we're back in this game, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, we do predictions on Twitch. Twitch, it usually does predictions related to gameplay, like will Chris win this game, yes or no. But we make our guests write questions for you guys. So you, as the audience, are going to answer some science-related questions or questions related to the expertise of our guests. So Chris has put together a bunch of questions, most of them related to sports analytics, and I'm going to pop up one of those questions right now. If you are not following the stream, you should click the follow button right now and get 300 standard internet units that you can gamble on these questions. Even if you're not following, you'll still have some standard internet points that you can spend. We're going to put up a question. You guys are going to have 2 minutes to answer this question. Sorry, I'm going to copy and paste quick, and we'll get this going right now. We're going to give you guys 2 minutes. Click that follow button. If you look at the top of your chat right now, you're going to click a predict button. And the question is, first peer-reviewed paper on NFL analytics, was it greater than 50 years ago or less than 50 years ago? What I love about this question is it's one of those that can be counterintuitive, right? Was it some academic just did this in like the late 1800s, or was it nobody published on this till recently? You don't really know.
I mean, 1920 is when the NFL started, so.
Oh, that's fair. And what was it before that? It was the
college football, but there wasn't professional football, really.
I'm trying to remember the timeline because there was two different leagues, right?
Well, that was
football,
AFL and NFL, and they merged in 1970.
Okay, and before that, 1920 was the first professional?
Yeah.
All right, so the answer is less than 100 years. But the question for you guys was the first published paper greater than 50 years ago or less than 50 years ago? So click your predict button, put as many standard internet units as you want in there. And yeah, depending on your degree of confidence, answer that question. Note you're on Ask a Scientist Gaming Honor Policy. Can't use ChatGPT, can't search it on the internet. This has to be based on what you know or what you've learned from Chris over the last hour of playing some video games. Well, we're trying to battle Boise State. Oh, the 16 ranking. Is that the start of the season ranking?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's the 25-26 season?
24-25, yeah. Not
Okay,
the
so
season
that's
coming up, the
last-
one that,
okay,
yeah, they started
24,
last season
I see.
ranked,
So that's the real ranking, like AP ranking or whatever. it
yeah,
is.
16th
Okay.
at
okay.
these. Yeah, not like,
All right, last seconds. Get your predictions in there now. Click the predict button.
Yeah, if you're going to have success when you throw it outside like that, you're going to need some more blocking and
All
better
right.
blocking downfield. Give the defense credit, though. They were able to rally and made a tackle.
All right, Chris, what is the answer?
the answer is greater than 50 years. So it's 1971 was the first one. And it was actually a joint effort between a professor at Northwestern and a quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals doing a model for expected points on first down. And that model for expected points is actually still the model for expected points used today. Like, at its core, they've come up with, originally it was just broken down by every 10 yards. And now it's every yard, but originally it was expected points, and the equations changed a little because of how adding the 2-point conversion affects expected points depending on where you are on the field. But yeah, a lot of even advanced analytics still use expected points, and expected points is still based off of a 1971 equation that was created and based off half of a season of NFL data.
So greater than 50 years ago, congratulations. You guys bet big on that answer, so you got very little payout. 1% return on investment. Nonetheless, congratulations. The answer is 1971. So yeah, greater than 50 years ago. That's crazy. So is there a known backstory behind this? Like a quarterback calls up a stats professor and says, solve some math?
So it wasn't a stats professor. He was a business management and risk management professor that the quarterback had the guy as a senior when he was in college. And once he got into the NFL, he started talking about, hey, let's do something on risk management or decision in the NFL, and they decided to come up with a expected points model.
Man, how great is that? His biggest impact on the NFL was statistics. Like, he might have been a good quarterback, but to have that long-lasting legacy, that's amazing.
He was actually a backup quarterback. He wasn't even a starter.
He had plenty of time on his hands. He's sitting on the sideline with his calculator.
But, yeah.
I mean, so they created a conceptual framework, but you're saying the model, for the most part, is still used.
Yes.
Wow. And that's because there hasn't been anything better, or it's easy?
The math still works out.
And that's good enough.
I mean,
Wow.
it's, you change the probabilities,
Yeah.
but it's basically the probability of success of getting, it was at any time that you have the ball, anytime you have the ball on first down, by the end of by the time you get to fourth down, there's 101 different outcomes that can be. You'll end with the ball on one of the hash marks. Either you'll have the ball or your opponent will have the ball, or you'll score a touchdown, or you'll score a field goal. And each of those have a probability that you'll get to, and the probability of making a touchdown at the 1 yard line on first down, the probability that before fourth down you'll score a touchdown from the 1 yard line is like 97%. So you take 97%, times that by the value of a touchdown, 7 points at the time, and you have expected points of whatever 97 times 7 is.
We'll take those. We'll take those.
Especially
the
on
human
third down.
element. He didn't sleep good. That's the thing about this. So I have mixed feelings about big data processing, right? Because it's like you can model human behavior with just raw numbers, right? If you want to look at traffic through a shopping mall, it's a fluid dynamics model. It's how liquid flows. Same thing with this data, but ultimately, someone's dad dies the night before, right? Or they don't get a good night of sleep or whatever, and it just throws every wrench in the system. So it is just probabilistic models, and it'll be nothing more than that.
Yeah, that's why I laugh at the people like, well, AI is going to do our job. It's like, no, you still need a human to look at it.
Yeah.
Because AI doesn't get it right all the time.
I mean, so in terms of like fantasy football, people have probably applied AI models to it. I mean, how successful are those?
So there's a lot of... Sorry.
No worries.
There's a lot of variables with fantasy football that AI, like you'd have to spend a lot of time and understand AI model development. I think you'd have to be good at AI model development to get a really good thing. But like you could get a decent draft. You can get a decent draft analysis, and like here's based off, you put in your rules for your league's fantasy football, and like here's how many teams, here's where I draft. Give me a solution that will find me the best players. Nice.
Got a 7-point game here, ladies and gentlemen, in the fourth. 3 minutes, 56 seconds left. So if you're thinking data analytics right now, are you thinking kill the clock, play this out, or is it get points because you're the underdog? It's through your analytical brain right now.
My analytical brain is look at getting it close, and then we'll consider running the clock out and maybe scoring a touchdown and going for 2 because I'm the worst team.
No, you're in this to win.
Yeah.
We've all seen Little Giants.
Yeah, there's no annexation of China though.
Oh, no, annexation of Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, sorry. It's been a while since I saw that movie.
Oh, it's okay. If I didn't have an encyclopedic knowledge of movies, I wouldn't even remember that one. But it is irrelevant to our current conversation. Oh, that's good. I'm invested now. Cheering for the underdog. I want to see the upset. But yeah, if you guys have questions for Chris, throw them in chat. He's happy to answer them. We're talking while playing a little bit of football. I made him play as the worst team in the... Oh, where did they mark this one down?
First time.
Oh,
No!
wow. It was the additional forward progress that killed you there. If you guys have questions, put them in chat. We're just hanging out, talking about football analytics, which for the NFL started a little bit over 50 years ago. All right, there's 3 minutes left. Misadventures has redeemed a request of factoid. What knowledge bomb do you want to drop on your on the viewership
Okay.
while you try to grind out these yards? It's a big down. 3rd and 3, 3 minutes left.
This offense is not letting up, guys. They've got a lead here late, and they are still taking shots. They're still
Okay.
looking for explosive plays. This defense just has not.
Let's do this one. So everybody knows that, or has the belief that RBI is a baseball stat, run batted in, or runs batted in, depending on if it's plural, more than one or not.
Nice.
But what most people don't know is that statistic actually was stolen from cricket. And cricket had runs batted in as a statistic that they were tracking and calculating before Major League Baseball started using it. And a player coach in the 1890s saw a cricket game, and somebody was recording the runs batted in during a cricket match. And he's like, why don't we do that in baseball? And so he started calculating and tracking runs batted in, and it, nowadays it is one of the premier stats, like we talked about Moneyball. Runs batted in was one of the stats, but it came from cricket.
Cricket ahead of their time. That's a question too. Like how similar are the data analytics for cricket versus baseball? I mean, when I envision baseball, there's so much just pitcher versus batter, right? And like that's the main paradigm in the game. Obviously, fielding matters to some degree, but I mean, cricket is similar as well.
Go, 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 go.
Oh! Did you intentionally cut it?
Yes.
Nice. Kill the clock. It's getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! I don't have a cheer yet. I have
Go for the win.
for GG's.
Yeah, I'm going for the win.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, didn't want to do that quick.
Oh. Hey, you just need one defensive swell. You need to get the 2 points. Should we do a prediction? Will Chris get this 2-point conversion? Do they have a tush push?
They do not, and I don't know that it would work.
Might be legal in college. I don't know.
I don't think it's legal yet. It might be, but I don't know if it would work from 2.5 yards out.
Here's the snap, looking to throw. Quarterback
Get it.
Oh, we have it. Woo!
No, you just got to play defense.
Just one more stand. That's all we need. Oh, I'm excited. This has turned into an intense game.
Yeah, a little bit more competitive.
Yeah. There's the wedge. There's your CTE right there. Sorry, I did too much wedge busting in college. or in high school, and I remember getting up just like woozy.
Yeah, but that was before we called it concussion. You just saw stars.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't think to call it a concussion. Like,
Good old days. Just rub some dirt on it. You'll be fine.
Too predictable that last drive. They got to do something here to get this defense.
Man, I'm invested. We'll get to your questions later if you have them, because we're playing out this last minute 30. Oh. Stop. Big stop. You feel the pressure?
I
It's
do.
different playing in front of an audience.
it is.
It's not a huge audience, but it's an audience.
Yeah.
It's non-zero external influence. All right, if you guys have a question, Chris can answer in the next 30 seconds. Throw the distraction drill. Oh! Oh, just lay on it. Just lay on it.
Well, they have timeouts. So So I need to run it because they have timeouts.
How many do they have?
All three.
Oh,
That's
is that
right
the
here.
bars? Okay.
Yeah, the 3 dots.
All right, so you got to get a first down.
Yes.
One possession game, getting late. First order of business, just take care of the football.
So they call this situation
But I only need one.
offense, where you're trying to
Qual Scholar wants to know, did you feed the dog this evening?
passes to maintain
Yes.
possession and lead the clock. This is
Most important question of the night. Did you feed the dog this evening? Thank you, Qual Scholar. Oh, man.
That's your sole objective.
That distract from your gameplay? Is that helpful, or?
That's
Timeout called there by the defense.
I mean, the question is, it goes to 4, do you punt it in this scenario?
no.
No, really? The answer is still no?
I don't have a punter. Punting is not an option.
Quick timeout called by
Is that a first?
stopping the clock to save as much time as
Yep.
possible for their offense. And the Zips will have it 1st and 10.
Okay.
Don't want to risk anything
There we go.
here. The quarterback,
He does not think he's been fed.
I know a lot of people
That cuddle
No.
puppy will be happy. Yeah, thank you, Misadventures. I was thinking of the little guy. I really appreciate that.
change the questions.
Oh,
Although in our case, it's not a little guy. We have a 105-pound mastiff.
that is a beast.
Yes.
That was a wake up in the morning.
Oh, I didn't think I was going to do that.
Congratulations, you pulled it off. Worst team in the game. All right, what are we doing next? What are we transitioning to?
Let's go.
That was pretty fun. What do you want to do?
I don't know. Should we go to real old school football, or should we go halfway to like a Tiger Woods sports game from the 2000s?
I kind of want to go all the way back for
Great.
football.
Let's go all the way back.
Let's go to OG, not all the way back, but we're going to go back to original Nintendo. And this is what I'm forcing Chris to play. He didn't actually ask to play this game. This is one that I played when I was younger. In fact, fun backstory on this particular game, 10-yard fight. So when Nintendo was released in the United States in 1985, there was 18 original games. I think like 15 of them were Nintendo products, 3 were non-Nintendo. This was one of the non-Nintendo products. This was the first football game released for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's called 10-Yard Fight, and it is glorious, as you guys are about to see.
Yes.
So we just went from college football 2025 back in time.
To what? 1980.
It's 85, so we're going 40 years back in time. This is what football looked like. How does it feel after playing college football to jump into this one?
It's a little bit different. I mean, we do have.
Is there a different button for pitch and forward? I don't remember. Because it gives you an option play.
I think it's pointing toward. No, no. We'll figure this out. Okay.
Oh, halfback pass. Pulling out the trickery 3 plays in. Congratulations. But yeah, congratulations on your victory. Is it satisfying to play as the underdog?
Yes.
That was worth it. And it's going to be on YouTube, so you'll know this forever. There's video evidence.
Yeah.
I love that there's no soundtrack, but that's supposed to be running, presumably, the sound
Yeah.
we're hearing right now. You guys let me know if the volume's too loud. I'll be happy to turn it down. But yeah, this is 10-yard fight for the Nintendo. Speedrun world record is about 10 minutes.
How would you speedrun?
It turns out, I think when you score, the half is over and you get points or something like that. It's not real football rules.
Oh,
But I did a speedrun record in Tecmo Bowl. That one, it's just you keep the play going as long as you can because the break between plays is additional time. But yeah, I don't know. I've never speedrun this game.
I'm sure somebody's got a video on how to do it.
Oh, there's a tutorial somewhere. I love the white noise for the crowd. That's a really
Yeah.
nice touch. And after today, your new answer for favorite football game, obviously.
Will be 10-yard fight.
I'd say without question.
I love that. Like, there's not even like it's the same thing.
No, you can do motion.
No, but it's the same formation. Oh,
Wait,
I
is
guess-
this not extra point? Why was there motion on a field goal? There's no holder either. Just a drop kick. Wish they brought back the drop kick.
It's still technically legal.
Yeah. You get an extra blocker. Like,
Yeah.
just get an Aussie rules player in there and
But the thing is, it has to hit the ground.
yeah.
So you can't drop kick it from the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that for fun in high school. Just drop kick and see how far we can go. You're kind of at the mercy of the roughness of the ground and
Yeah.
the angle which it hits.
Yep.
There's some nuance to it.
Yeah, I used to.
But somebody did it in the NFL within the last 10 years or something, right?
Yeah, it was a quarterback. Almost want to think it was Aaron Rodgers, maybe. I remember.
Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie. That's
The last successful drop kick in an NFL game was Doug Flutie for the New England Patriots in 2006.
okay. So 2006.
So those of you not familiar, a standard field goal is you have a holder, they grab the ball, they put it on the ground, they hold it for the kicker. But you don't have to. The rule is just the ball has to touch the ground before it's kicked. And so you can do a drop kick, which is basically dropping it on the ground, it bounces, and you kick it on the bounce. And Doug Flutie did it in the NFL in 2006, which is awesome. Does that fall into your sports analytics umbrella? The probability of
The drop kick actually did not play into my expected point model.
No, there's no vector, there's no binomial fit for a drop kick.
I think you need to have more than every 40 years to be able to perform successful analytics.
A meaningful data set.
Yeah.
I respect that.
I'm sure the qualitative scholar would be able to tell you that n equals 1 is a viable data set, but not to me in big data analytics.
Well, what I know is if Doug Flutie kicks it, it's going to go successful. So that's my n equals 1.
Yeah.
When you pick defensive players on this, it's just A or B, and they
Yep.
give you two
One of the
options.
two safeties. And you can't change once. Of course, when you have a 5-yard dive,
You're covering some distance. So you're just picking the one closest to the line, and
I just kind of guess.
Qual Scholar, it's a case study. N equals 1 is qualified. You are absolutely correct. This is why law school is legit. N equals 1 is okay in some circumstances. Case study. I like it. Good defense. Taking a stand. All right, we're an hour and a half in. Is it everything you thought it would be? Playing video games,
It's
chatting.
been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Time flies. I mean, you've done 2 games plus this one. I mean, this is obviously the most important.
Yeah. I mean, this is obviously the greatest.
Have they been passed downfield yet?
No.
It's all been runs.
Yeah.
Now they're just messing with you. That's part of the strategy. Oh,
But yeah, there's no pre-play adjustment. It's the same formation on offense.
oh no! And it doesn't let you go for 2.
Well,
Should we do Tecmo Bowl after this, just so you can get this out of your system? Mutant League football. Throw that in for first
Mutant
time
League
play.
football sounds interesting.
Oh man, it is ridiculous. Let me see if I can find Mutant League football. What do you want, Sega or Super Nintendo? I think it's for both.
It doesn't matter.
You don't care which controller is on.
They're both. Only the Xbox moving the stick is.
Mutant League football. All right. We're going to do some Mutant League football for the Sega after this one, which is going to be another case study in excellent gameplay. Man, I'm forcing you to play random games. Who is this guy?
It's all good. No!
I don't know. Are we in the first quarter? How does this game...
It says, I don't know if it's first half or first quarter, but I'm still in the first.
Or it's the entire length of the game.
Yeah.
First
The clock hasn't stopped once. It's a running clock.
Oh, even during
Yeah.
motions? Oh, you can kill a lot of time on this game.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, see. I guess they're change of possession. But see, it's already started. So yeah, just let your guy in motion, run for 10 minutes.
Yeah, can you motion back the other way? I don't remember.
No.
No. I mean, in this game's defense, like, Tecmo Bowl is almost as bad when you get Bo Jackson running circles.
It's like fairly 8-bit gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, somebody was super excited when they made this game. Oh man! All right. So diving back into some of our canned questions. One of my favorites. We have some obvious answers for this one, but I'd love to ask: what movie or TV show gets your discipline right? What gets it wrong? Discipline could be loosely defined, just using data for making decision makings, analytics, data processing, advocacy, sports, movies, whatever it may be. I mean, there's some obvious ones like Moneyball. You've seen Moneyball. You've read the books. You like it. It's a good capture of.
It is and it isn't. I think a lot of people misunderstand the idea behind Moneyball when they watch the movie. A lot of people think it was, well, this was a new way of finding the best players. It was more about finding players that fit a certain value or a certain dollar amount of salary that they were going to ask for.
Yeah.
That would perform better. And so, like, it wasn't necessarily we're going to find the best player. It was we're going to find a player maybe other people aren't looking at that we can afford. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, it's Moneyball. It's finding the best player. It's like, it's Moneyball wasn't about that. And like,
I mean, is it better to say the most cost-effective player? Like, how would you describe that?
So cost-effective is probably a good. So it was half.
The
so
most situationally appropriate player.
Yeah. So it was. So the whole idea was like finding pitchers that were going to be able to get players to hit ground balls or strikeouts. Mm-hmm. So, because a chance of getting an out on a ground ball is a lot higher. Mm. So you want to find pitchers who threw a lot of ground balls and or strikeouts. And, back in the day of Moneyball, pitchers who threw a lot of strikeouts were paid high. Mm-hmm. So it was more about pitchers who pitched a lot of ground ball.
I mean, so the movie didn't capture that. They focused primarily on the runs, right?
Yeah,
like buying runs. But you're saying the pitcher aspect was key to their success as well.
Yes,
that's kind of a shame they didn't even touch on that, if I remember correctly.
And the other thing is, how successful can you say Moneyball was when they never even went to a World Series, let alone won a World Championship?
Yeah.
So it's like that part is like, well, and the other thing, and you see a very small segment of this is when they talk about Bill Burke for the Red Sox, who actually ended up, the Red Sox finally did win a World Championship with him helping them with analytics. Mm-hmm. But his wasn't Moneyball analytics. His was different, doing different analytics. I actually went to a talk with Bill Burke presenting that he talked about how the idea behind Moneyball is like a lot of people say he does Moneyball, and he explains why what he was doing in the 80s and 90s was different than what actually Moneyball was. And
interesting. What's the differentiation?
So like he said, they looked at some advanced analytics that regardless of salary. And that was the big thing, is like they didn't care about the salary. They wanted to know which unknown player is going to produce the most amount of runs.
I see.
And they were more looking at high school and college players than free agents. So they were looking at more of for the draft than they were for free agency. And Moneyball was more about free agency. So those were the two big factors in, like two big take-home factors in his talk. It was just interesting. Imitation game, you know, they talk about how they use probability to like, well, the probability that the Germans will figure out we've broke the machine.
Yeah. It's a brief side note, but an important one. Yeah.
But it's one of the things, it's like, and it doesn't matter what TV show or movie it is, anytime somebody talks about statistics or probabilities, they don't show you any of the math. They just say, well, and like, you know, probabilities, depending on how you're calculating it, can, you know, the one thing I always laugh is like people's, like the commercials, 4 out of 5 dentists agree. Well, that's 80%. Like, if you said 80%, well, what's the other 20% thing? Like, you know.
The other 20% knows it causes cancer.
So like, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. I love the misuse of, well, it'll either happen or it won't, so it's 50%.
Yeah.
There are two outcomes. I divide one by the other. Or somewhat possible. Lori, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Our drink of choice tonight. There it is. Drink if you guys want to check it out on Beer Advocate. We are drinking Sweetwater Extra Pale Ale, 420 Extra Pale Ale. You can't see the green because there's my head on it, but yeah, there's the... It's actually a green can, but we have green screen effects. So yeah, drinking some Sweetwater. Any particular story behind this one? You just found you like this one?
So I won't give away my age too much, but their description of it says the 420 is about, they first canned it on April 20th. And so that's my birthday. And so a beer that has the same published birth date as me and is on the can, kind of. And it's not a bad tasting beer, like, and so that's why I go for it, is because it's got the same birth date as me.
So the clever part of, oh yeah, 420, so happy birthday. It's like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
One thing clever about this, they didn't know this was going to happen, but there's this new kick of like THC infused beers. So like 420 beer is obviously weed related. So
Yeah.
you're looking for a whole new demographic. Your birthday, my niece, and Hitler.
Yep.
You want to bring that one up?
Well,
I mean, it's a 50% chance if you're born on 420, you're either Hitler or you're not.
I mean,
Statistics.
there's some other people that have the same birthday.
No, those are the two options.
The what I just learned about this year is Muhammad, of Muslim Muhammad.
Yeah.
They say his birthday is April 20th.
Interesting.
And
April 20th of Gregorian calendar.
yeah,
Huh. Sure how they back that math up. That's intriguing.
yeah, like, but so like I just learned that they credit April 20th as his birthday. So
Yeah. So you're either Muhammad or you're not.
yeah.
Oh, abuse and misuse of statistics. Lori, thank you for joining us. You've missed out. We played a little bit of college football 2025. We won as FSU, and then one is, who'd you play as, Akron?
Akron, yeah.
Yeah, we chose the worst team in the game, and Chris pulled out a win on that one. It was a last minute win. You earned that one. And then we jumped back 50 years. Wow. No, 40 years. Sorry. Doing my math here. 40 years. Now we're playing 10-yard fight. This is the game. Yeah, Lori's our graduate coordinator in chemistry. She's Actually, baseball fan. I don't know. I don't know how much she cares about football, but
Well,
yeah, baseball is her go-to. But yeah, today, Lori, we're talking about data analytics. Particularly, Chris is an expert in sports analytics. Very interested in it. Gets kicked out of fantasy football leagues because of his knowledge and his tool set. But also, he now works for the provost office, talking about university and departmental rankings and looking at the statistics that go into that, which is also one of my hobbies. So I'm excited to discuss that as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, sorry, back to the original questions. We asked movies or TV shows. We talked about Moneyball, how it captured in it, and rarely do you get a statistician as the hero in a movie, so we'll take that as a victory.
yeah.
But also Imitation Game, talking about, statistical likelihood of someone predicting certain events occurring. What else?
So there was one episode where it was very stat heavy on Big Bang Theory. I know mostly it was physics, but there was one where they did a lot of talking about probability modeling, and I was kind of excited because they were talking, they brought a progression model and a couple other very stat heavy terms, and I was like, wow, somebody's actually talking about regression models on TV.
So they brought a consultant to actually
Yeah, so that,
legit.
yeah, like so they one of the ones that gets it really wrong, and I hate to say this because I know a lot of people out there love this movie. It's a football movie. Is Any Given Sunday?
Oh, interesting. Do a lot of people love that?
There's actually they have
The Al Pacino,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx,
Cameron Diaz.
yeah. He's a football player, Lawrence.
Thank you.
For the Bills, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But there's a part of there where they're talking about the probabilities and expected points and all this, and it's that's game. I actually won. But yeah, they Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor there.
Yeah, they
And Jim Brown, I didn't know that.
but yeah, they like so horribly mess up. Like they're like, well, if I think there's one of the lines is, if we're on second down inside the 20, then we actually have an expected points of 8 points. And I'm like, there's no way.
Because that's the maximum.
Because like at this time that the movie's created, there wasn't a 2-point conversion. So like you don't have an expected points above what you could get on one score.
Oh, even if it was, it's 100% certain. We might as well leave.
Second and 20, we're done. It's 8 points.
Oh man, they could have picked anything else.
Yeah.
If they said something like 5, like they would have gotten eaten alive by the amateur.
Yeah.
Can't score 5 points. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
Oh man, misadventures. The inches we need are everywhere.
Yep.
Oh man, I love and hate that movie. I love that movie because just the absurdity of the sport and how they capture it. But I hate it because the camera angles and the shots, like they do so many flash cuts, and it's like I don't need to have an epileptic seizure watching a movie.
Yeah. Again.
All right, so that's it. Any others that come to mind? I love the fact that you have enough of these answers for statistics related movies.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, like you said, nobody wants a statistician as a hero. Like,
I don't know if it's no one, but it's a rarity when the smart person is a hero. So I love those movies.
yeah. Oh, actually, that was a TV show. What was it called? Scorpion. I don't know if you remember it.
No.
It was
Wait,
about.
is this your second game? Should we keep playing this, or should we do something else?
Yeah,
This is
they
terrible.
let's switch. But
Yeah, I think it
Scorpion,
progresses from high school to college to pro to playoff to something. That's how you.
they said I was on my way to the Super Bowl.
Obviously, that's the next step. After high
Scorpion
school.
was a show. Is like these this
We
group.
want to play. We can quit this. We can do. We have Tecmo Super Bowl. We have Sonic the Hedgehog. We have Mutant League Football. We have.
Let's try Mutant League Football if you have that.
You're gonna do it. The blind play of Mutant League Football.
Why not?
Let's
I,
do
mean,
this.
I consider myself a gamer.
Hopefully the controller works. We're gonna put this in.
Is this Nintendo? Or?
So I did Sega.
Okay.
So he's never played this game before, but Chris is up for anything today. We are playing all sorts of football games. 1993, jumping forward in time. I'm assuming the skulls are representing skill level, but I don't know.
I was just trying to figure out how to start. So 93, this came out when I was the few parts of my life where I wasn't playing video games because I was in the Navy in 93.
Not a lot of gaming in the 90s in the military. I guess now it's a very common thing.
Yeah. But back then, I mean, we made fun of one guy who had a 486 computer strapped to his rack. But
in retrospect, he was ahead of his time.
yeah, like, well, he was and he wasn't. He had some other weird things about him, but
so I'm going to assume this is similar to any sports gameplay. I didn't play this one a lot. I played the hockey version, but
I mean, the fact that you can use weapons.
Where's that in your model?
Well, if you ask some people that may or may not still be on, my wife believes that football would be a lot more interesting if each team was given one taser to use once a half.
So that is are you familiar with the Ocho? The
Yes.
From what was that, Dodgeball? I think they had the Ocho, and then
Yep.
ESPN adopted it. And there's a subreddit called the Ocho. I saw a clip fairly recently where I think it was, I don't know if it was football. I think it might have been soccer where they did have a taser. And that's how they played. So I think your wife would be very much into that. Well, there's holes in the field. So heads up on that.
Okay.
I didn't say this was a good game, but it was an interesting game. All right, if you guys have any questions for Chris, he's happy to answer them. He's playing a little bit of Mutant League Football for the first time ever as Bones Jackson. I don't know how to throw it in these.
Okay, neither do I.
I think you could fight after, like, yeah. I'm sorry you're playing this. If you guys have questions for Chris, he's happy to answer them. Oh, man. That's amazing. I love they show the coach on the side. It's like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out kind of scenario. So these... what intrigues me about like professional analytics like this is they will never publish their results, right? Or they might do it like 10 years after the fact, but I doubt that even happens. Like, how much institutional knowledge is just lost because people are unwilling to share trade secrets?
Probably a lot. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I might have punted. There you go. I actually punted.
You punted. It took Mutant League Hockey to make Chris punt.
Okay.
You guys missed the conversation earlier. In video gaming, Chris will never punt, except for Mutant League Hockey, because this game is ridiculous. But yeah, after the play, try punching people. I think you can like beat them up and eventually beat them to death, because that sounds legit.
Yep.
All right, are you good on drink? You want another one?
Yeah, I'll take.
All right. This better be my last one. I have to be functional tomorrow. Single parenting duty this weekend. Debbie's out of town.
Oh.
It's not bad except for like the sports drop-offs and pickups, schedule balancing.
Yeah.
What is that?
Like, what? Just jump on him a bunch of times.
Exactly. Oh, Lori was requested a factoid. Do you have another knowledge bomb you want to drop? What's the last one? What did we cover previously?
Last one was about baseball.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So this one's kind of fun. So we talked about earlier that AFL and NFL merged in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
So since 1970 draft, when a draft has happened, that a quarterback was taken first and second overall, which was, counting last year, it's been 31 times, I think, now. But that there's had a quarterback taken first and second. The quarterback taken second has produced more Pro Bowls overall than the quarterback taken first.
Say the start of that one again?
So since 1970, when a quarterback has been taken first and second in the draft. So first two draft picks were both quarterback.
Yeah.
The total number of Pro Bowls by the quarterbacks taken second in those drafts is higher than the total number of Pro Bowls than the quarterbacks taken first in those drafts.
How many times did that happen?
I think it was like 31 now. So it's been quite a bit, enough to like it matters. And that was sort of the whole one of the interesting facts that like I used to why. So my dissertation, I did one on draft analysis, and my reasoning for why draft analysis matters is, look, just this one thing right here. If we have quarterbacks taken first and second, more likely you're going to get a Pro Bowler from second pick than the first. I mean, even this year, like, or not this year, but last year, you had Caleb Williams taken first, and Jaden Daniels taken second. And Jaden Daniels was selected to the Pro Bowl and Rookie of the Year, and Caleb Williams wasn't. So it's one of those things like that. It's funny that they get it wrong.
It's so high stakes. It's so high stakes, every decision. What the?
There's a play called Kill the Rep.
Abidos, welcome back. You've joined us at an unusual time. We're playing college football, then 10-yard fight. Now we've gone on to Mutant League football, which Chris has never played before, but I'm making him play. So thank you for joining us. But if you have a 2-yard penalty for killing the ref, that's worth it. We should do a cost benefit. I'll tell you what, Chris, if you write a paper on the data analytics of Mutant League football, I promise you will be the only one that is ever published on that topic. Oh, man. But yeah, if you have questions for Chris, he's happy to answer them. Talking about data analytics, particularly his expertise is in football, but we're talking about in general how it's applied to big data problems, whether it's baseball, football, college, professional, but also university rankings, which is where he currently works at Florida State University looking at that data. Lori has a follow-up. Similarly, in singing contest TV shows, there are fewer winners who made it big than those who finished second to fifth place. Interesting. If I had to guess, I'm guessing that has something to do with how they do the contracts for the winner. Like they restrict what they can do, whereas the other people don't win is actually better for them in terms of flexibility. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's also in Olympic athletes, like gold medal winner, they're happy, but the ultimately bronze medal winners are happier in life than silver medal winners, which is counterintuitive, but also you weren't almost there.
Yeah.
You don't have that slight regret.
You're like, well.
How are you feeling about Mutant League football? Gameplay, if you had to give a review.
I think 10-yard fight has better gameplay. It's interesting, and like, I'm sure there's things that I don't know that I could be doing. But like, you know, the ability to kill a ref is kind of nice.
You have to pick the play though.
Yeah.
Oh no. The score is 5-0. Classic football scoring right there. That breaks all the models. What do you do on 5 versus 0 on the 30th yard
Well,
line?
a safety's worth, you know.
We don't have to keep playing this. If you want to move on to something else, we absolutely can. But I'm glad we got the viewership opportunity to see Mutant League football. We're running the gambit on all the games.
Let's go for a full half, and then we'll.
Okay.
So there's 118 left in this half. But I haven't even fully figured out how to throw a pass yet. I keep thinking that I do, and then I try the same thing again, and it's like, nope.
I could look up instructions, but why?
It's like reading the manual. Nobody does that.
Not anymore. Not when there's YouTube videos, for sure.
We didn't do that back before YouTube.
So one of the other questions we'd like to ask, and I'm curious how this conversation goes for you, but when you sit down in an airplane and you're next to somebody chatty, and then one of the natural questions they ask is, what do you do? Or where are you from and what do you do? What's your answer there? You're a statistician?
Yeah, usually I say I'm a statistician.
That counts as a pass, right?
Yeah, but that was them. And usually when you tell somebody you're a statistician, the next thing is, oh, I hated my stats class.
I'm glad chemistry's not the only one, honestly.
It's like the number of times that I've got told that they don't understand why anybody would want to do statistics. It was the worst class they ever took, and it's like, well, it obviously wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so usually I say statistician, and that usually gets most people to not say anything more, but I've had a few conversations.
Conversation stopper.
Yeah, because nobody wants to talk about statistics. Like, I don't know. I did have one guy. I was while I was teaching, I was flying, and the guy next to me is like, "That look." He's like, "You know, I was working on a test that I was going to be giving to my students." He's like, "So do you teach statistics?" And he's like, "Because it looked like you were." And I was like, "Yeah." He actually was interested, and he was. He taught AP stats in high school, so.
All right.
But
So he respects it.
yeah, so we had a few conversations. So I think we can switch.
All right. What do you want to do?
What do we
We can
got?
do Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Tecmo Super Bowl,
Let's-
Tiger Woods.
Let's go to Sonic. Let's do a non-sports.
Let's do Sonic the Hedgehog.
So we only got a little bit of more time
Yeah.
before we.
I'm going to say you're going to be relatively fast on Narc, so we probably have till 10:35 before we'll switch games.
Okay.
No pressure on that, but I've translated other games to Narc, and there's certain translatable skills. But yeah, we're jumping to Sonic, the Sega. This was the game that came with the Sega. All-time classic. This is the original Sonic 1. But yeah, collecting coins, going fast. Sega does what Nintendo don't. Ooh, Lori has an interesting inquiry here. Not necessarily a question, but I'm interested in the analytical data on NIL's effect on college sports. Still the Wild West. There's no.
So there's several people that are trying to get together papers on it. The problem is, like you just said, it's Wild West, and like there isn't really hard and fast rules, and the rules keep. So there's a lot of people that like are looking at NIL and wanting to do more that, but nobody has been able to figure out like a good model enough. Like the most recent example is the University of Tennessee came out and said that it's $20 million to build a successful college football team minimum this year. And the counter of that is, how does University of Tennessee know they haven't had a successful football team yet? And, you know, now you have different players like Arch Manning made $3 million in NIL money last year and wasn't even a starter. So it is something that everybody who is into football and college and analytics is starting to really get into, but it's not been going on long enough that we actually have data that can be consistently analyzed. But like, you know, when Bill Belichick got hired at UNC, he hired a general manager, which before 2 years ago, college football didn't have general managers, because general managers are about negotiating and controlling contract. And so, like, you didn't have contracts. And, you know, it's the other interesting thing about NIL is you have the transfer portal, and like these players are able to, you know, transfer every single year, and sometimes even twice a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like.
Well, they're loosening restrictions on how many years you can play and when you can come back, and
Yeah, so, you know, I have talked with a couple people, and a lot of people who follow this think that either in the next 5 years, college football will either have a collective bargaining agreement and like actual contracts and stats, or college football will cease to be, because universities just can't keep upping the paycheck every year.
I mean, yeah, you'll have to forgive me for my naivete, but like, as soon as I learned about NIL and the transfer portal, I'm like, this is just semi-pro, right? There's no, this is much more the European athletics model, where you just have lower tier teams and you can go up in a league or down in a league.
Yep.
And it's kind of crazy.
Or
boo transfer portal, yes.
Or like minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a place for it, but God, is academia it?
well, the big problem is like funding it,
Yeah.
because, you know, like,
I mean, so prior to NIL, there was only a handful of teams that were actually profitable, right? It was a very small fraction.
Profitable. There was a lot more that were profitable, actually before NIL than are now, because they weren't paying their players.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And so, like, you know, while there is a cost associated with giving somebody a scholarship, it's not a tangible cost, really. Like,
yeah,
the university's not losing money by having a football player on scholarship. They're just not gaining any money. But so there were, you know, colleges were actually making more money before. And right now, like, it's still, the colleges aren't paying the players. It's boosters and contracts with corporations and stuff like that, versus. And so that's one of the things that's talked about needing to change, is like the colleges, these athletes might start becoming employees of the college. And then, you know,
health insurance, retirement.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of the above.
Yeah. Laura has a follow-up on that conversation. But profits help fund non-profit sports like swimming, track, soccer, most women's sports, etc.
Yes.
Ooh, two fun factoids I learned about FSU sports. Sorry to detour. Is FSU's getting a women's lacrosse team. That's going to be a new development. And also the two best amateur golf players are at FSU. Their two college athletes are the male and female top two amateur athletes. I learned this at faculty senate meeting where I don't know who's in charge of the sports. I don't know. It's not a dean or whatever.
It's an athletic director.
Yeah, but he basically gave a talk saying, "Here's where we are."
Well, I mean, and FSU is one of the places that like our women's teams are better than our men's teams.
Yeah.
It's like if you're looking at national championships.
Yeah. Don't mention baseball. Lori's a baseball fan.
Well,
They're good, but they're never the best. Sorry, Lori.
like how many times have we been to?
25. That's what I learned from Lori, actually. 25 times without a win in the World Series. Ooh, sadness. Anyway,
Good enough.
oh, go ahead.
Good enough to be there, but not good enough to win.
Yeah, always the bridesmaid. Lori has a follow-up comment on the statistician discussion. Be nice about my baseball knowles. We are being nice. We're just talking data. Lori said, stats is the only math class I took in college. I took AP math courses in high school. The college I attended didn't accept AP test scores. They were still new at the time. Instead, NKU offered me to take the final exam for all required math courses. And if I got an 80 and above, I tested out. Tested out of all of them except statistics. So Lori was on the airplane bad-mouthing statistics. She was the one. Do they even teach statistics in high school? I don't know what's available now.
They have AP statistics.
Wow.
And I taught the students coming in who took AP stats in high school and like, well, I know everything because I took AP stats. And it's like, well, then why are you in this class? Because I didn't get past the AP test. It's like, well, then
everything loosely defined.
Yeah, no, that's like, I'm sure you have the same with AP chemistry. I took AP chemistry in high school, so I know everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're taking intro to chem because you didn't pass the AP test.
Oh man, Lori, I hope you're excited. The semester is almost over. Grade submission is due next Tuesday. And yeah, if you're not busy Wednesday night, don't know if you saw the email for the Ask a Scientist gaming party, but
Yes,
we're gonna hang out.
I've already RSVP'd.
That's awesome. I haven't checked the list. I know the raw numbers. I haven't checked who's on it, which I should because I don't remember everyone's faces and names, so I should probably figure that out by next Wednesday, but should be fun. Lori, we sent you an invite. I know you're out of town and probably not going to come, but I thought you'd appreciate it. Amicus Brewery should be a little bit of fun. That's a good use of Sky Miles on a Wednesday night in Tallahassee. Yeah, it's gonna be a eclectic group of people. Musics, math, statistics, psychology, physics, biology. Yeah, it should be fun. It'll be a fun hangout. But anyway, we're playing Sonic the Hedgehog. Our guest today is Chris Schoborg. He's an expert in big data processing, data analytics, particularly his expertise in, at least his PhD is in NFL football and applying sports analytics to that. But yeah, now we'll see. He looks into university ranking and things like that. So let's dive into university ranking because it's mostly talking about the U.S. News rankings, like the go-to by most people, despite it not being particularly rigorous, at least as far as I can tell.
Yes.
But a lot of it, so even university ranking, grad program ranking in chemistry is entirely perception. U.S. News ranking for undergrad is some data, some perception. What goes into that ranking?
So it is similar to grad school. Like there is some data like that they use based off like students per faculty,
Incoming SAT scores or
incoming
something like
SAT scores, but there's also some perception and how your survey responses about your school come back, but ability for undergrads to do research, how much money is available for undergrad research.
So what's easier, sports analytics or university analytics?
Depends on the day.
That's how you're feeling?
Yeah, no, sports analytics is one of the fun things about sports analytics is like there's lots of people that are, you know, outside of academia, there's not only a lot of people who care about university rankings. Like, if your kid's not getting ready to go to college and you don't work in academia, you don't care about the rankings.
Oh, nice. Surprise.
I forgot about this. It's like the hidden world on Mario.
There's got to be a way out of there. Jump into it? No. What is this nonsense?
Oh,
Oh no, it'll make you go all the way back. Well, that's some bullshit. I played a lot of Sonic 2, not a lot of Sonic 1, so you'll have to forgive me. I do not know.
well. Yeah, so, I mean, university rankings, there's less data on it, and, but, you know, it can, in the end, be more beneficial. You know, if I don't work for a specific team, like, there's not a real benefit.
See, so you came in after FSU's big push to be a top-ranked public university for undergrad, right?
Yeah,
But it was the same. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was after that.
Yeah,
So,
but that was the analytics-driven process. They looked at the metrics and they said, "What can we make better? What can we improve?"
yep.
But now the push is grad school, looking at grad school, but also still undergrad.
Yeah, grad school, as well as trying to become part of the AAU,
I don't know what that stands for. What is it? The
Academic
Association of Universities or something?
yeah, but it's basically the elite schools. And, you know, our president has a huge fondness of it because every school he's been at before was an AAU member, so he wants FSU and thinks we can get there, and so he's got this big push to try and, I don't know why I'm waiting on the block with him.
I should have looked this up ahead of time. I had a fun factoid about AAU. And so it's this association of a bunch of universities saying we are top tier universities and they have to vote to let in a new school, and they need like 3/4 vote or
100%.
something like that. And they need 100% approval.
Yep.
Holy shit. But something I learned is you can also be asked to leave the AAU.
Yes.
And so there's 2 original founding schools that were asked, or that left. It was like Catholic University and something else. I don't remember who it was
I
exactly.
don't remember either.
And then Syracuse left voluntarily. University of Nebraska was asked to leave. So they didn't voluntarily leave. They were asked to leave the AAU because their metrics just became too low.
Yeah. But see, you know, before 2023, the only AAU school in the state of Florida was this school down south. But 2 years ago, the AAU admitted USF.
Yeah.
And it's like, why, you know, FSU is a higher ranked school.
Uh-huh. Why were they accepted and we weren't?
Yeah,
I mean, what does that get us, though, being part of the AAU?
prestige.
But it's just that. You can say you're an AAU school, but I mean, there's certain grants and fellowships and stuff that are accessible if you're part of it, but it's not a profound impact on day-to-day life, if I'm understanding.
From my understanding, yes. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I understand the prestige, but, and it's been explained to me, the other things, but
Is it worth the effort? I mean, so one thing that,
And the fact that it's a 100% vote.
yeah,
And the current mindset, what we're looking at is like, well, let's just make it so when we're up for a vote, if a school votes no against FSU, because FSU's been up for a vote 3 different times,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
and they're trying to get it that the
we
next time that we go up, not, well, okay, you've got a valid point to not accept FSU. It's you're just being
Yeah.
anti-FSU. We need to let them in.
Do we know what the vote is? Do we learn that?
I don't know if we know what the full vote is, but we do know that UF has voted against us every time we've.
Oh, fuck you in particular.
So
So who's this vote? Who's voting? Is it the president?
all the members of the AAU, assume the presidents or chancellors or
Yeah, like somebody has to ultimately say the vote. Right?
yeah,
So an
but I'm
individual.
not sure like who the
Well,
voting person is.
Yeah, of course FSU shouldn't be in it, despite our metrics being better than most who have been admitted. Just saying, there's several at least of the last 10 years.
And you know,
It's crazy. Well, so there's this paper that I've been basing a lot of our departmental ranking on. U.S. News ranking for chemistry is, it has to do with perception, right? They send out the survey. It's 100% perception based. But they took the analytics. They said, what are the like quantitative values we can look at, and how do those quantitative values correlate with the outcomes? So they did the binomial fitting. They said, you know, what's collinear, what's not collinear, and it turns out AAU status resulted in like 1% contribution to the ranking when H index was, you know, 64% or something like that. And so, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, awesome. We got a raid from Actual Education. Actual Education, a pleasure. I hope your stream went well. Actual Education, if you guys haven't checked it out, I'll put a link in chat right now. Actual Education does live tutoring on Twitch. So if you weren't familiar, Twitch is not just video games. There's a bunch of science nerds on there. One of them is Actual Education that likes to do math and science tutoring, does office hours. Got to run to dinner. Absolutely. It's late on a Wednesday night, but cheers, Actual Education. Thank you for the raid. Cheers. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. We're playing a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog with Chris Schoborg, who's an expert in data analytics, particularly does big data processing. His thesis was actually on NFL sports analytics, like trying to predict players and drafts and all sorts of things like that. And now he works for Florida State University, where we're talking about, you know, how you use data analytics to apply it to university ranking and improving ranking, or how your ranking is impacted by certain metrics. So yeah, thank you, Actual Education. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for the raid, and yeah, thank you for the follow. I'll catch up on these. E to the 2I pi. That's awesome. Oh, that's one of our standard equations. What's your favorite equation? So Euler's formula comes up a lot. E Raven Violet, thank you for the follow. Thank you for joining us. If you have questions for Chris, he's happy to answer them. Yeah, what's your favorite equation?
so there's 2 answers I have to this. One is a favorite just because like it's a cool stat geek thing.
Yeah.
That my in-laws actually bought a shirt that had it, but it's B greater than sum of X 1 over N. So it's B greater than average.
It's inspirational.
Yeah, like,
Be greater than
but
average.
like most people look at it like, what does your shirt mean? It means you didn't pay attention in stats class.
Be greater than average. So your favorite equation is an inside joke.
Yeah.
Oh, stat nerd.
But, you know,
Take that Euler's formula. You're useless.
you know, I have my, I don't know, I don't know that I have a favorite equation. I have a favorite distribution,
No,
but I always have to look up the distribution equation, so I can't say like they're my favorite equations.
E to the 2I pi, you are absolutely right. It's not an equation, it's an inequality. I mean, that's a fair differentiation. In fact, we've had mathematicians on that have done that delineation, so I apologize for the misrepresentation. E to the 2I pi. But yeah, that's Euler's equation has been the favorite for some mathematicians, some data scientists, some physicists. I mean,
I don't know that I know that one.
it's universal. It works really well for like really physical problems. It represents a lot of things, real and imaginary, in chemistry and physics. So yeah, a lot of people like it. So yeah, inequality, that is fair. Equation with an asterisk, absolutely correct. But yeah, if you guys have questions for Chris, we're about 10 minutes away from closing our night with a speed run of Narc, but right now we're playing some Sonic. But yeah, we were talking about university rankings. We were talking about university rankings before the raid. What I apologize, I lost track of our train of thought.
Been trying to concentrate on how to pass this level because
Trying to focus.
I've forgotten.
I mean, so
I did beat this game at one time 40 years ago, but 30 years ago, whatever.
were you talking about the U.S. News and World Report rankings? Yes, we were. And this is one of my least favorite things. So if you're in engineering, right? If you go to U.S. News World Ranking of engineering programs, it is 40% perception-based survey that sent to department chairs. And then 60% of that is like numerical metrics, citations, publications, grant dollars, all things like that. But if you go to chemistry, it is 100% perception based. So the survey goes out to chairs and associate chairs. They click, I like this university 1 through 5. And that's it. It is a survey. And it just blows my mind.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I apologize for the diatribe, but this is what we're dealing with. How do you change perception? Because it's
And how do you convince U.S. News Report to start using actual metrics for their rankings? Because, they tell you all the things that supposedly goes in, but they won't give you their equations or their weights. And that's, as a statistician, well, how much are you weighting something?
Yeah, because that matters, right? And because you use academic analytics, and they show you what the SRI weighting parameters are, right?
Yes.
But U.S. News is just secret sauce. It's arbitrary. E to the two-eye pie. That's amazing that you were talking about U.S. News rankings. What was your conclusion? What was your advocacy? What program are you in? No, one thing I want to do, so this survey, this perception survey goes out to department chairs. I want to make a spreadsheet that shows department chairs when they started, associate chairs when they started, and invite them to our department. And just say, if in 2026 you're going to take a survey, I want you to have visited FSU. And it's something like if you change 10 to 15 professors' rankings from a 3 to 4, you change our rank by 7 to 12 points.
Yeah.
And it's something that simple, which is absolutely crazy. Lonesome Crow, thank you for the follow. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about data analytics, talking about university rankings while playing some Sonic the Hedgehog. Also, we talked a bunch about sports analytics, particularly NFL, how you can use data. We have not even talked about the NFL draft yet. Should we dive into that?
Sure.
Because there's an obvious one particular individual, but in terms of you keep track of this?
Yes.
So you did some of the analysis, or you just looked at what people are reporting, what they're predicting?
So, yeah, my dissertation, I actually wrote. Part of my dissertation was I did a draft analysis model that I can use for oops.
I think it'll go back, or not. You're just fucked.
No. That I used to analyze. Okay, so I have to jump off on one of those. And so, I have the model, and I haven't improved it since my dissertation, but I did look and put this year's data in. And
oh, nice.
So I had my own rankings, and some of it came true, and I was again one of the, like everybody else, the one player in particular, Shedeur Sanders. He was 7th on my rankings. And why he lasted to the 5th round, other than people don't like his dad.
Well, so
nobody's been able to answer.
I heard some Reddit commentary that apparently they do phone calls with certain programs, right? And like he wouldn't accept phone calls below anyone in the top 7.
Well,
And he was on FaceTime during some of those calls.
yeah, there was a mythical undrafted list that, like, his dad Dion had said, these are the teams that shouldn't draft my son because he won't play for them. And yeah, why Cleveland's not on that list?
That list probably went out the window after the first day.
But no, like, Cleveland wasn't on that list, supposedly. And it's like, you know, if there's a team that the Cleveland and the Jets consistently get player decisions wrong. So like if there's teams that you don't want to be drafted by, New York Jets and Cleveland Browns should be higher on your list. So there was a belief that the draft list teams were actually teams that Dion himself didn't like from his playing days, and it's like a lot of those teams, the owners have changed, and
Yeah.
you know, they never actually gave this list of here's the teams that shouldn't draft my son. But
So were there any other surprises to you that beyond that one?
let me think. There were a couple. The wide receiver that ended up going first overall, and I'm blanking on his name. He was only the 4th rated wide receiver on my list. I can't remember all their names, but
We should do a prediction. Speaking of draft, should we do this free agent question?
yes.
Because that's just kind of a fun one related to the conversation right now. Sorry to continue your thought while I put this in.
Yeah, so I'm blanking on his name, but he was the 4th. And like, you know, there was some questionable, and like a couple teams like took players that I might have had a little lower, but you know, there's also like one of the things I don't look at is every individual team need.
I see.
So
It's just a general model.
yeah, mine gives best available player.
Yeah.
And may or may not include like, oh, well, this team needs a running back. This team needs a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And it also, like, the wide receiver that went first of the wide receivers may have been his skills specifically translated well to that team's. And that's why I haven't looked at it that closely.
Yeah.
Like why, but no, this year's draft actually played out more in tune with my analytics over last year's and more of the draft pundits other than Shador Sanders.
Interesting. Any idea why?
I think they're getting to be more and more
Checkpoint. Nice.
more and more knowledge about these players, and like one of the things that I've started tracking, and I don't have enough data to really say, is I want to look at as a future paper is the transfer portal. Is there enough data to say the transfer portal is or isn't able to improve somebody's draft stock? I mean, the one this year, Cam Ward, who was taken first overall, obviously transfer portal improved his draft stock a lot because he started out as incarnate word as an unrated walk-on, like no rating high school, and then got all the way up to University of Miami and is now like the number one draft pick overall. So yeah, that obviously, in that case, the transfer portal obviously helped his, but they're like, but I don't like that's a like it's one of those things like I don't know how the analytics, because like it's a what if scenario. What if they hadn't transferred?
And is there even enough data to like reach a like you need a certain portion of quarterback?
Yeah.
Or, like, okay, that's curious. All right, we're gonna put up a prediction right now. Boss fight indeed. E to the 2 I pi. That is a name. I'm curious how many people on Twitch recognize that one, but that's amazing. All right, we're putting up a prediction right now on Twitch. We don't do video game related questions on Ask Scientist Gaming. We ask science questions of you guys, or questions related to the expertise of our guests. So this one's a NFL free agent question. So free agent people that weren't drafted in the NFL draft, or people that were up for trade, free agents that can be basically purchased by anyone. The question is, between 1970 and 2007, how many NFL free agents ended up in the Hall of Fame? Is it greater than 10 or less than 10? And so I looked up the number here. So there's roughly, during that time period, there's been 220 Hall of Fame inductees. The question is, how many of those were free agents, undrafted players? Less than 10 or greater than 10? It's kind of an out there question unless you track the draft, but that's kind of fun. Like, it's basically how good is the NFL at predicting whether someone's going to be a Hall of Famer is what this comes down to. Is there anything you want to add on this without giving away the answer?
I think that's it. That's a good. I don't know what else I could add that would that would give. But yeah, so a free agent means undrafted player, and there's several reasons why a player's undrafted, but.
Eat the 2 I pi. One of the few that get this. So our channel points logo is it's this capital I.
Okay.
And that was Eugene DePrince, our quantum chemist in the department. I was like, Eugene, we want to make up an arbitrary value for our arbitrary internet points that happen on Twitch. And he was like, let's do capital I. Nobody uses that for anything. Let's use it for our Twitch stream. And that's exactly what we did. So yes, and we called them arbitrary internet units because that's exactly what they are. They are our standard internet units. Sorry. So that's what we use them for. So thank you for the recognition. Use your standard internet units points. Oh, interesting. So we got a heavy betting. We have more people saying greater than 10, but we have more confidence in the less than 10. And so, Chris, I don't know if you're familiar with the Twitch points, but they can pick an option, but they can also gamble as many of their points as they want. So depending on degree of confidence, they can go one way or the other.
So it's like a confidence pool.
Exactly. And so in this case, the confidence was high for less than 10. Chris, what is the answer?
The answer is 8.
8. The answer is less than 10. Congratulations for betting big. Less than 10 of the 220 Hall of Fame inductees from the classes of 1970 to 2007 were from undrafted players. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that does suggest they're good at predicting who the top players are.
Yes.
I guess how many are drafted? It's like 150, 140?
170-ish usually. It varies by year because there's 7 right now. There's 7 rounds, but so each team technically has but you have compensatory picks, which change, which is basically if you lose a valued free agent, you get a comp pick, and so the compensatory picks, the number change every year.
All right, we are at 10:40. There's about 22 minutes to the left. End of stream.
Great.
Chris, the question for you is: do you want to see the clock, or do you not want to see the clock?
Sure, why not?
You want the pressure?
Why not?
We'll show you the numbers right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to transition to the closing of our evening, which is always led by one of our favorite games. And that game is Narc for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So we already visited 10-Yard Fight. We're going to find one of the additional gems from the NES. Let's transition over to the NES. You're going to go the old school Crippler controller. All right, before you press start on NARC. All right, there we go. We got the game. For everyone that's not familiar with the stream, I make every single one of my guests experts across physics, biology, psychology, neurobiology, music, philosophy, statistics. I make them play NARC, and I make them race against their colleagues. The caveat is they have infinite lives, infinite bullets, infinite rockets. Chris will win the war on drugs tonight. The question is how long it takes him to beat this particular game. And the game we're playing is NARC. There's the Nintendo cartridge. It's reversed for you guys. But NARC, the tagline is no one had the guts until now. So here's the original cartridge. I'm going to read you guys the story because you need to know the lore behind this game before Chris takes on this journey. You are Max Force. Your mission, bust Mr. Big and destroy his dreaded criminal empire. Seize all contraband, stolen money, illegal weapons, use rocket bombs, high-powered machine guns, apprehend all suspects, protect the innocent, punish the guilty, stop at nothing. Press start when you're ready. You're about to win the war on drugs. I'll also show you this one because you'll appreciate it.
Wow.
AT for the Atari. I got both of those during the same trip to a retro video game store. Why is it not going? Go. There we go. All right, we lost 2 seconds. I'll make up for that. Misadventures in Astro.
So
the only
what's-
reason to show up is NARC.
So what's the current guest speed
The best time?
for your current guest?
Oh,
Like,
let me look up the best and worst times. I've not looked up, so you're going to grab that red card. And the goal, is go right as fast as you can. Tapping A is rockets, holding A is bullets. Our fastest time is 16 minutes and 18 seconds. Sub 20 gets you in the top 15 players. And then we have times as long as 40 minutes. But I assumed you're a gamer, we're going to be done quicker than that. But
let's hope.
shoot bullets, hold A to shoot bullets, tap A to shoot rockets. I got to update, but you can see the list. It's pretty substantial at this point. So you get to take on your colleagues across all of Florida State University and win the war on drugs. While you guys ask questions, if you guys have questions for Chris, he's happy to talk sports analytics, big data processing, how you process big data, how you decide whether a correlation, causation, anything you can learn from data processing. Chris is happy to talk about it while he gets shot with syringes by these random people in black shirts. Because this is what the 80s were like.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I remember.
Do you remember all the free drugs we were supposed to get?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like there was a drug candy dish at our high school. Like
Oh man. Okay, so we asked the movie question already. The other classic we like to ask. Oh, all right. E to the 2I Pi wants to know, what kind of models do you tend to use in your work? Supervised, unsupervised?
So how do I get a blue card?
Oh, so you got to shoot the guys in black with bullets. Reasonably close range, so shoot them, get close to them, shoot them. See that drops? This is something, I don't know if you've heard of the phrase RNG in video gaming, the random number generator.
Yep.
This is an RNG, it's a 1 in 8 drop from those guys. So congratulations, you got it. Next level.
So most of the time for my current work, I am using supervised models because like we have.
So for the general viewership, before diving into it, supervised versus unsupervised, what does that mean?
So supervised just means that you have an outcome and like a number or a value that you're rating. Unsupervised is more like what group or category does this belong to, and you're, for lack of a better way of putting it, you're coming up with your own categorization, whereas supervised means your input data has its own already established value that you're going to use.
Before you jump in the car, Lori's redeemed take a drink, so cheers, you're about to jump in a car and drive, so you might as well take a sip. All right, so tap the B button, you'll jump in. Stay on the bottom of the screen, you'll get about 20 feet, and then boom, now you keep walking. That saved you a tenth of a second. I don't know, it's probably half a second, but anyway. Cheers, Lori, thank you for always being on top of the NARC drink and drive, we appreciate it. Sorry, so supervised, unsupervised, you defined it, what do you typically use?
Most is supervised in my current work because like we have U.S. News World Rankings. Like and you know, AAU membership, we have yes, you belong or no, you don't. So like, not a lot of unsupervised, but there have been a couple things that I've used unsupervised models with.
So what would be an example of that? I mean, whether in the sports world or otherwise.
So one of the things in the sports world that was part of my dissertation that no, that's more supervised. I don't know. Let me think. I started thinking of one, and I was like, no, that's actually supervised.
This was the trick question of the night.
No, but
You could shoot the dogs by pressing both buttons, or a rocket will do it. Or you can just keep running. It depends how you feel about shooting dogs. We learned earlier today you had fed the dog.
yeah,
You might as well shoot
it's
the
slowing
dogs.
me down. I'll shoot him. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any good I can't think of any good unsupervised models that I've
All right,
used
you're going to jump
recently.
in the car and stay on the bottom. Then you're going to go up the top. Go up now. It'll buy you a little bit of time, then keep going.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, so most of it is supervised.
Yeah, but
All right. I'm not sure how fast you're going to beat this, but I'm going to squeeze in one of our favorite questions before you do.
okay.
Unlimited budget, no moral qualms. What study do you do? What data set do you collect? What experiment do you induce? Like, you buy an NFL team and moneyball the hell out of it? Like, what is...
No. We're going to go further than that.
Let's go bigger. Let's make a new league.
No, we're going to strap a tracker on every single kid that plays high school football. And the tracker doesn't stop tracking them
Yeah, on the bottom.
until they're done playing football, whether that be at the end of high school or Hall of Fame.
Holy shit, you want to predict a 5-year-old's likelihood of Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And like, just like,
Oh my
if the kid's doing this in high school, he's
Yeah.
most likely going to be a Hall of Fame
Here's the
player.
characteristic, like relative speed versus everyone they're playing.
Or like what they did in their free time, what classes they took. Like,
Oh, man,
I want to
talk
track
about
everything. I want to track everything. Like, I want to know what they had for dinner.
I want to know everything.
Like, no moral qualms, right?
Yeah.
Unlimited budget. Like,
I mean, what the best part about this data set is this isn't even necessarily predicting football. You'll predict their success in life. You'll predict
Yeah.
their likelihood of going to college. You will literally predict everything.
yeah, like,
Can you, so at some point that becomes an intractable data set. What is that threshold for you?
I don't know. I mean,
Speaking of which, that's a nice dovetail with this question right here. I want to put up a prediction right now. If you guys aren't following us, click the follow button. You'll get a notification about future streams. But you'll also get a bunch of standard internet units that you can use to gamble on.
is it one of the clowns that have to?
No, sorry. Go all the way to the right.
Okay.
To this door right here. And you're going to go through that door. Sorry, I got caught up in the prediction because this was... All right, towards the end, you're going to pick up a card. Should be the white card right there. Go through the door, but don't press too hard up or you'll go back in. Press left, silver card is right there. All right, I'm going to put up a prediction right now. If you guys aren't following, click the follow button. Click that predict button, and we're going to say that
Which one are we
there
doing?
is a minimum data size for big data. Like, we use the word big data all the time. Collectively, as a community, whether it's statistics or analytics or scientific computing, is there agreed upon threshold for what it means to be big data, or approximate threshold? True. I have true or true. God damn it. All right, let me start that again. I apologize. I copy, delete, and return points. All right, let me try this again. I copied the same. Oh, that's crazy. I did copy false. All right. Now you got some time to think about it. True. False.
One of these guys have the green, I'm assuming.
Yep. So you're going to shoot them Rambo-looking guys with bullets. And you have to do it at close range for some reason, because RNG works that way. Shoot the white guy, then turn around. Green guy will appear. So you want to shoot him. Yep. Shoot the white guy again, then green guy will appear. I think this one's like a 1 in 5. There you go. All right, now we have an option. There's a minimum data size for big data. Is there generally agreed upon minimum data size, like a 10,000, a million? What does it mean to be big data? There is a minimum data size for big data, true or false. Is there agreed upon metric? Is there anything you want to add on top of this?
I would say like not. Is there like agreed upon or industry standard metric?
Industry standard is.
And this could be observations or variables, or both.
Misadventure, screw you, I'm like 3 drinks in. True and true is both options. So as we talked about earlier in statistics, it either happens or it doesn't. It's a 50% chance of everything occurring. And also, if you're born on April 20th, you're either Hitler or you're not. So.
Everything's binomial.
It's only binary decision making here. Oh man, but we're wrapping up the stream. We have about 11 minutes left, depending on how long it takes Chris to beat an arc. But if you guys have suggestions on people we should raid, preferably education streamers, but if you have other suggestions, we're happy to do it. Let's visit somebody education related. So yeah, let us know if there's somebody we should be looking into. I have a few people on right now. I see Astro Canuck, Mahoodles, Science Streams. I try to follow the people you guys suggest just to see if they're on, because Wednesday night is a weird streaming time. But who streams on a Wednesday night?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so you have all these cards, so just go through the doors. You're in it to win it on this? You can feel the pressure of...
Am I getting close? I don't know.
Getting closer.
Okay.
So this is Mr. Big. No, not this one. Sorry, keep going.
Yep.
Keep going right. You have the card on this one. I apologize. I misled you on that. The options are true and true. I apologize. All right. There is a minimum data size for big data. Chris, is that true or false?
That is false. There is no industry standard of what is or isn't big data. Which is funny that I have a degree in big data analytics, and that could be anything. The best definition I ever had was a professor of mine at UCF said, big data is any data set that is large enough that you can't analyze it in the time that you want with the computer that you have.
It's a logistics consideration. Huggy Beer, welcome back. It has been a while. Thank you for joining us. You're just in time for some NARC and data analytics. If you have questions for Chris, throw those in. Misadventure said, I feel like from the tech side, big data didn't lead to a lot of insights at most organizations. I think a majority because organizations had crappy data. Yeah, garbage in, garbage out, right? That's the classic. Speaking in the commercial side. Yeah, you need good information, otherwise it's just nonsense. Which is why most AI models are garbage, but so it goes. All right, so here you're going to have to kill Mr. Big, and this guy in a wheelchair. So you're going to kill everyone on the screen. So shoot them, shoot the blue guy. You're going to see a wheelchair guy. You got to shoot him with a rocket. So you don't have to jump on this guy. It's going to be the next one. But I'd recommend staying somewhere in the middle and just trying to hit him on the up and down. Kill the guys on the screen. He comes back. There you go. That's one. Inchworming off the side. But yeah, if you have any last minute questions for Chris, he's happy to answer them. Huggy Beer, again, it's been a while. Let's talk about some data analytics. If you want to ask questions, we have about, I don't know, 6 to 10 minutes left in the stream, depending on Chris's prowess in beating Mr. Big and winning the war on drugs. No moral qualms tracking every high school football player.
Yeah.
Football in particular, that's the one you want.
Well, I mean, we can go into other sports, but we gotta,
that's the one you want to see.
Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah. Okay, your rocket selection is good right now. So he'll come back. It's a spry little.
How many times do I have to kill him?
3 times. So that's it. Gold card is going to be dropped. Now we are on to the giant head, Mr. Big. Go to the door. You have it. Key card. Here we go. We're flying, ladies and gentlemen. Last minute questions for Chris. Put them in now because we are going to be beating Mr. Big sometime soon. We're at 13 minutes and 21 seconds. This is the equalizer, the shot to the hat. So you're going to go to the top of the screen and jump, shoot him in the hat on the way down. And after you do that, then it's shots to the face. A little earlier. Oh, there it is. All right, rocket to the face. Oh, there it is. Did we cover most surprising fact? No, we didn't. What's the most? If you had to reveal something weird to a non-expert in statistics that would just blow their mind, do you have a go-to? So if you go to the top of the screen, you can avoid all these, whatever that is. It's no longer tongues, it's something else. So go to the top, stay at the top of the screen, run away.
We tried.
Lori's cheering for you. What's your most surprising? There you go. Okay, run away. Get back here, turn around, shoot bullets. It's gonna come down, get some distance. It's gonna come down, shoot him. Go down, you gotta stay somewhere in this range because that's the way Nintendo works. So get some distance, Let's move up in between this range. Turn around, shoot at him. Wait for him to come down. Woo. All right, run the other way. Do it again. That was quick though. That was
surprising.
The fastest.
Surprising data. I think.
Or counterintuitive. Okay, now turn around. You don't have to even move a lot for the first two. Now you have to move a little for the next ones. Move away. Wait for his head to come down. Shoot him again.
So am I trying to hit the head or the vertebrae?
The vertebrae. When he goes down, you're gonna want to move though, because he can't be too high and too low, and you have to like mismatch his hitboxes. So you have to move. You can't stand still while you're shooting him. Misadventures. That's exciting. We're on a good time right now. Yep, that is a good strategy right there. So go to the right, get some distance. This third vertebrae is the hardest one, or one of the harder ones. Third and fourth are pretty hard. Get some distance, turn around, move up and down. Get some distance. There's a way to do this. Did we pick an unethical study? We did tracking every high schooler. I mean, as long as they give consent. Okay, now get some distance. Turn around, shoot. This should be easy. Go to the door. Go to the door. Oh, we're getting close, ladies and gentlemen.
There needs to be a space.
This is exciting. All right, you have one level left. Walk right. This is civil forfeiture of the level. We're going to go through it as fast as we can. Get to the key card. As soon as we put that, note we have 2 additional seconds that I lost at the start that we're going to add on top of this.
So I'm not going to get that.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. So that put you at 16-17. Adam Dewan was 16-18. So 2 seconds, I think you are in second place.
Okay.
But that is still an exceptional time. Huggy Beer, you are absolutely right. That is an outstanding time. I will look back at the video when I cut together the YouTube. I will get you an exact number, but you are most certainly in the top 2 no matter what. And you've earned your place amongst the icons of Narc gaming. Now I regret missing that because I want to know the exact time, but I think we lost something like 1 or 2 seconds at the start. And if we're going down to milliseconds, I'm going to have to go back to the video with Adam, and I'm going to have to double check. Misadventures in Astro, cheers with the 420 bits. So happy birthday. If you guys aren't familiar with the story earlier, we are drinking Sweetwater 420 Pale Extra Pale Ale. And Chris likes this because it coincides with his birthday, which is 420. And Misadventures, thank you for the note on 420. Celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday. Hopefully. Yeah,
It was Easter this year.
Oh, was it? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
The latest it can be.
So that
April 20th is the absolute latest.
but that happened a couple times during your childhood then.
No.
Not at all. It
Didn't happen once until 2005.
Wow.
That I remember.
You got lucky as a kid. You didn't
Or
get
unlucky.
well, see, I don't think you bought it on Easter,
No.
right? Like that's a
Yeah, but
happy belated happy Smurf Day. Thank you, Huggy Bear. Thank you for joining us, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations on your narc time. You really tore through that guy. But yeah, we've been on a journey. We played some college football 2025. We went way back to playing 10-yard fight. We didn't play any Super Tecmo Bowl.
No.
Because we were distracted by Mutant League football and a little bit of Sonic. And then we played Narc, which you tore up in a nice 16-17 time, which is pretty remarkable. So congratulations, Chris. You won the war on drugs. You won 2 football games. You won, 3 football games, right?
yeah.
One is FSU, one is the worst team in college football, and then 1 10-yard fight. Congratulations. Any parting words for the audience? Any words? If you could vocalize one thought about statistics, data analytics to the entirety of the world with a sentence, is there anything you'd like to share? Any misgivings you'd like to dispel?
I would say that just when you see stats, always question exactly what exactly their data source is and what they're representing, because the old saying, numbers never lie, is true, but you can make numbers say whatever you want them to.
That's fair. Models can fit, but is it meaningful outcomes? We talked about that a bunch. But yeah, everything from the NFL draft is baseball pitching statistics to university rankings. Huggy beer, 87% of statistics are made up. Fair. Sounds accurate. I don't know enough to dispel it. Lies, damn lies, and statistics, absolutely.
Mark Twain.
Take that one to heart. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find somebody to raid. We're going to find an educational streamer. If you have suggestions, throw them in chat. If not, it has been a pleasure. Thank you, as always, for joining us. This is our last stream of the semester, but we have one more scheduled. I still have to work out the summer stream schedule, but hopefully I'll get that sorted out soon. If you guys aren't following us, you'll get notifications. It's every other Wednesday night, typically, depending on schedules and if I'm traveling. But yeah, you'll get notifications from the stream. Not often, but enough to maybe show up for the stream. So turn on those notifications. Our next guest, who's officially verified, Ryan Truschlet. He's a meteorologist, and so he's actually a private meteorologist. He does a website called Weather Tiger, and so he's a regular, I don't know, you might have seen him in like the Tallahassee Democrat, and he does local news and stuff, but he does meteorology forecasts. He talks about tropical storms and risks of hurricanes and predictive analytics for storm-related things. So we're going to do data analysis, but in this case, it's going to be weather-related, so you guys can check out his website, weathertiger.com. But yeah, he's going to be the guest in 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about hurricane seasons in Tallahassee and try to predict hurricanes. Yeah, like NFL draft is important, but hurricane, I don't know.
Well, we have the Mag Lab that's going to...
Yeah, no, that's true. That'll save us, but everyone else, you guys are screwed. We'll talk to Weather Tiger and see how relevant the Mag Lab is to his decision making and whether that's included in his model or not. Spoilers, the answer is it is not. But thank you all for joining us. Stick around. We're going to bring our viewers somewhere else. It's been a pleasure. Chris, it's been awesome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
We met during a AI Innovation Hub talk.
Yeah, your talk about using AI to catch cheaters on multiple choice.
Exactly. So, and Chris came up, he's like, I want to do this. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's schedule a time. And I'm really glad we did. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to discuss. And it's been fun gaming the Akron game, Coming From Behind. That was pretty spectacular. So I hope you enjoyed your journey. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Come back in 2 weeks. We will talk with, Ryan about cyclones, storms, hurricanes, and all sorts of things in meteorology. In the meantime, it has been a pleasure. Your questions make this a really fun journey. Stick around. We will do a raid, but we will see you guys again in 2 weeks.